Chapter 1659. He had personally witnessed Qin Wentian and Dition's combat prowess back then. Let alone today. Even back then when the lifelong grand banquet was held, Qin Wentian and Dition used their mid-stage immortal emperor cultivation bases to challenge the various monarchs of the 9 world palaces. One of them was undefeatable while the other obtained the number 1 position in the martial competition, causing his name to shake lifelong city, and was rewarded by the realm lord. Right now, Qin Wentian's strength had grown even stronger. Just that gaze alone caused him to feel a deep sense of trepidation. Other than the Livefire Empyrean, no one else would be able to kill him. Governor Qin, there are still variables. If you listen to the Livefire Empyrean's orders now and stand together with us to suppress the traitor, you might still have a chance to redeem yourself. Don't forget that the Realm Lord once said that he would only spare Yi Qianyu if you make great contributions. Zhuge Xiong spoke to Qin Wentian. He then continued, "Don't be made use of by others. You directly tried to kill me, yet you still have the face to say such words now. Grand Governor Zhuge, your ability to obey the orders of the Livefire Empyrean is truly admirable." Qin Wentian spoke. "Since you are so stubborn, there's only death for you. Everyone listen up, capture and kill the traitor." Zhuge Xiong waved his hand. After that, the immortal emperors unleashed terrifying law attacks, directly blasting down from the sky towards Qin Wentian. Kill! Dition's people and the Jialong clan's people also launched their attacks. The battle instantly erupted. A fearsome defensive might gushed forth from Qin Wentian. His entire body seemed to be covered in a sword-shaped armor, allowing the destructive law attacks to land on him. However, he remained unmoved. Puchi! A sword slashed out from the darkness, radiating black light. In the darkness, a terrifying destructive might actually manifested. The black-colored sword of destruction directly slammed into Qin Wentian's back, causing many in the crowd to break out in cold sweat. From the darkness, people actually walked out. They were like assassins hiding in the void, and there were quite a few of them who were the Livefire Empyrean's trusted subordinates. The moment they acted, their attacks were as swift as lightning. However, when the terrifying dark sword struck Qin Wentian's body with astonishing destructive power, it was unable to pierce through Qin Wentian's body. Bit by bit, the sword sank into the sword shield protecting Qin Wentian's body. A terrifying vortex appeared inside. The dark expert tried to pull his sword out, but found that he couldn't move it. So strong. Everyone stared at Qin Wentian. Although Qin Wentian was almost killed by the Livefire Empyrean earlier, that was only because his opponent was the Livefire Empyrean. Facing against an immortal emperor, Qin Wentian instantly displayed his strength, allowing the Livefire Empyrean to attack him without suffering any injuries at all. The Livefire Empyrean wanted to retreat, but he only saw Qin Wentian slamming out with a palm strike. A terrifying palm imprint slammed into the air, and a moment later, a figure silently fell from the sky. The terrifying immortal emperor assassin was killed in a single strike. Ever since I became the northern governor of the Livefire Empyrean, I have always abided by my duties, reorganizing the northern city regions and collecting the tributes on time. However, I didn't expect that I would end up in such a miserable state. The Livefire Empyrean and Grand Governor personally plotted to kill me, and the assassins in the dark also showed no mercy. Since all of you want me to die, I can only retaliate. Qin Wentian stood in the air. His white robes fluttered in the wind as his black hair danced in the wind. He seemed to be talking to himself but also to everyone else. His voice seemed to contain a magical power, deeply attracting everyone's attention. It made people feel that if he were to act, the heavens would surely be earth-shattering. It was like before, Qin Wentian had always been suppressing himself, enduring the urge to act. It was only until now, when the Livefire Empyrean personally acted, directly killing his guards. He finally could no longer endure it. A fearsome aura gushed forth from Qin Wentian, causing countless gazes to land on him. The northern governor, Qin Wentian. Before this, everyone felt that he would definitely die today. Even his subordinates, the vice-governors and attendants of the northern governor's manor had all betrayed him, listening to the Livefire Empyrean's orders. Because it was clear who was stronger and who was weaker with a single glance. However, the truth wasn't like what everyone had imagined. Qin Wentian was domineeringly killed by the Livefire Empyrean. Instead, Ditian appeared, stirring up this storm. As for the main character, Qin Wentian, he was like a foil. However, was he really willing to be a foil? Qin Wentian was finally going to take the initiative to retaliate. What would his retaliation be like? Terrifying rumbling sounds rang out as a fearsome law energy gushed forth from Qin Wentian. In fact, it directly penetrated through space. Qin Wentian turned his gaze to Grand Governor Zhuge Xiong. Just a single glance from him caused Zhuge Xiong to feel as though his eyes were about to be pierced blind. He had no way to open them. In the next instant, countless sharp swords coiled around him, instantly locking down the space around him. In this space, a torrential sword river could be seen flowing around him. Qin Wentian stood there unmoving, calmly staring at Zhuge Xiong. Grand Governor Zhuge Xiong was already locked down by the sword river. It felt like as long as Qin Wentian willed it, Zhuge Xiong would die without a burial ground. An expert from the Livefire Palace launched an attack at the sword river. However, the sword river continued to flow, directly engulfing the attacker. In an instant, beams of sword intent pierced through his body as a scream of misery rang out. That immortal emperor was directly penetrated by the sword intent. His body was dyed red with blood as he fell from the air. Upon seeing this scene, Zhuge Xiong's body trembled as terror appeared on his face. To him right now, his life was hanging by a thread. Is this the counterattack of the northern governor, Qin Wentian? The hearts of everyone trembled. With a single thought, Qin Wentian, the Grand Governor Zhuge Xiong, was placed in a desperate situation. Grand Governor Zhuge, let me ask you, how have I, Qin Wentian, offended you? Why would you instigate the Livefire Palace Lord to kill me? Qin Wentian's voice was as sharp as a sword. Zhuge Xiong paled. He could feel how powerful the sword intent enveloping him was. It seemed like this was no longer something he could resist. Qin Wentian, do you really want to be consigned to eternal damnation? Zhuge Xiong still had a trace of hope in him. Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with a terrifying light. His sword intent flowed as a piercing sound rang out. Zhuge Xiong screamed in agony. He stretched out his right hand and clutched his left arm. Fresh blood flowed unceasingly from the wound. Zhuge Xiong's face was ashen. He only felt the sky turning dark. How could he be so powerful? So powerful that he, the Livefire Palace's Grand Governor, didn't even have the slightest ability to resist. I'll ask you one last time. What crime have I, Qin, committed? Why are you doing this? Qin Wentian spoke. Zhuge Xiong trembled with fear. He glanced at the battle between the Livefire Empyrean and Jialan Jiangshan, and knew that Qin Wentian had no time to care about his life. A look of despair appeared on his face. If he knew this would happen, why would he want to be implicated, causing Qin Wentian to blame this debt on him? At this moment, Zhuge Xiong only felt incomparable regret. He had always been intelligent, yet he was muddle-headed. It's just that who would have thought that such a thing would happen today? The Livefire Empyrean was the king of this vast region. Right now, this position of the Livefire Empyrean was being challenged. Zhuge Xiong naturally knew what Qin Wentian wanted to hear. His body trembled. He stared at Qin Wentian and finally spoke. This wasn't my intention. The Livefire Empyrean wanted your life, and as his subordinate, I could only cooperate. I had no choice but to do so. Now, the death of the Jialan monarch is a perfect opportunity to eliminate you, the threat that you are. Zhuge Xiong has also admitted to it. The hearts of the crowd trembled when they heard this. Although Zhuge Xiong was forced to say this under the threat of death, it was still meaningful. Currently, among all the governors of the Livefire Palace, only Lin Ba had yet to speak. With a piercing sound, Zhuge Xiong screamed in agony. His other arm had been severed. Fresh blood flowed unceasingly. He was in an extremely miserable state. You bullied me like this, wanting my life. By right, I should have killed you. However, although you work for the Livefire Palace, you are also someone from the lifelong realm. Since you have already admitted to your crimes, as the governor of the Livefire Palace, I have no authority to take your life. Crippling your arms is to take revenge for what you did to me. Qin Wentian spoke in a clear voice, sounding righteous. He then turned his gaze to Lin Ba and asked, Governor Lin, what about you? The Livefire Empyrean has already spared no expense to eliminate dissidents, defying the Realm Lord's rules. Do you still want to continue with your mistakes? As the supervisory commander, I will naturally report everything that happened today to the Realm Lord. For those who have confessed to their crimes, I have no authority to punish them. Ditian spoke. Lin Ba glanced at the situation and understood that the situation was already hopeless. Qin Wentian was too powerful. There was basically no one who could obstruct him. Although as long as the Livefire Empyrean defeated Jialan Jiangshan, there would still be a chance for him to turn the situation around. However, if he didn't speak now, even before the Livefire Empyrean could determine the victor, Qin Wentian would take his life. It seemed like he had a choice, but in truth he had no choice at all. Unless he wanted to die. Governor Qin, I'm only acting on orders. There's no other way. Lin Ba had always felt that Qin Wentian was extraordinary, and his relationship with Qin Wentian couldn't be considered as enemies. But since the Livefire Empyrean wanted to deal with him, he had no choice but to cooperate. Lin Ba had never expected that Qin Wentian would oppose the Livefire Empyrean so quickly. You guys are so rebellious against the Livefire Empyrean. When the Livefire Empyrean kills Jialan Jiangshan, all of you would be considered traitors and die for sure. A cold voice rang out. It was the Crow Emperor. He knew what would happen if he landed in the hands of Qin Wentian. When he saw that the other experts were prepared to give up, he immediately stood at the back and tried to persuade them, causing the hearts of many to waver. You are courting death. A voice rang out in the mind of the Crow Emperor. In the next instant he saw Qin Wentian's silhouette vanishing. With a swishing sound, the Crow Emperor's body was directly destroyed by a beam of resplendent light. At his location, Qin Wentian appeared, exuding an air of disdain. This man is none other than the person who ignored the deaths of the Jialan monarch's family members back then in the Jialan Emperor Palace. Although this seat has a grudge with the Jialan monarch, I can't tolerate such a person's existence. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. How did he do it? Everyone stared at Qin Wentian's silhouette. They couldn't see through him at all. What level has Qin Wentian's current strength reached exactly? The battles continued, but there were also many battlefields that gradually calmed down. Qin Wentian's strength made it so that there was no suspense at all. The outcome was already set. Everything now depended on the battle between the Livefire Empyrean and Jialan Jiangshan. Chapter 1660. The battle here finally calmed down. The people from the Livefire Palace were all defeated. At the instant Qin Wentian acted against Zhuge Xiong, everyone understood that there was basically no one who could contend against Qin Wentian. Many transcendent-level immortal emperors stared at Qin Wentian as their hearts trembled. They could sense that Qin Wentian had already stepped into that level, transcending mortality and entering sainthood. Tens of years ago, he was only at the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm. This seemed to be an impossible thing, but he actually did it. What was peerless? This was what it meant to be peerless. Those who betrayed the northern governor's manor earlier all had stiff expressions on their faces as they felt unease in their hearts. Would the Livefire Empyrean be defeated? This was something they didn't even dare to imagine in their dreams. But right now they were filled with doubts. The battle today could be said to be a heaven-changing battle. Numerous gazes stared at the apocalyptic battlefield. The sky was dyed red as boundless blood-colored lightning danced wildly. Buildings on the ground were constantly being destroyed. Although the buildings in the Livefire city were constructed from special materials, they still couldn't withstand the violent battle between two Empyreans. Every time the shockwaves from their attacks landed, it would cause a scene of destruction. The area below had already turned into a stretch of desolation. The spectators had also retreated far away. The people in the surroundings of the governor's manor all stared in shock at the battle in the air. This seemed to be a battle of destiny. In the Livefire Palace, there had always been rumors of the grudge between the Livefire Empyrean and the Jialan clan. Jialan Jiangshan was rumored to be the person who fought against the Livefire Empyrean for the position of the Livefire Empyrean. Now, the two of them finally had a heaven-shaking battle in the Livefire city. The eyes of the people from the Jialan clan were filled with nervousness as they stared at this battle. This battle was too crucial. The victor was king and the loser was vilified. As long as they didn't lose this battle, they would have a huge advantage. If they won, the position of the Livefire Empyrean would surely change hands. But if they lost, who else would be able to stop the Livefire Empyrean? In the airspace above Jialan Jiangshan, A gigantic white snake could be seen coiling around. This seemed to be a special innate ability of the Jialan clan. The Jialan monarch also had such an ability, but when compared to Jialan Jiangshan, it was simply incomparable. At this moment, in the Livefire Palace that was extremely far away, the Livefire Palace suddenly trembled as rumbling sounds rang out. A terrifying fiery aura gushed forth, and in an instant, the majestic Livefire Palace radiated a terrifying heat current that was blood-red in color. The guards of the Livefire Palace all felt their hearts pounding violently. All of a sudden, the sound of a bell rang out. As a voice rang out to every corner of the Livefire Palace, "Everyone, gather in the inner palace. The Livefire Grand Formation is about to be activated." Grand Fire Formation. Many people felt their hearts trembling. The person controlling the Livefire Grand Formation was none other than the Livefire Empyrean himself. Now that the Livefire Grand Formation was activated, there was only one possibility. The Livefire Empyrean must have encountered an extremely powerful threat and activated the formation. What was going on? The Livefire Empyrean was actually forced to activate the Livefire Grand Formation. Now that the Livefire Grand Formation was activated, there was only a single place that was safe. That place was none other than the inner palace of the Livefire Palace. Numerous figures flashed madly as they sped towards the inner palace. The heat current below grew more and more terrifying as bolts of lightning that resembled blood dragons soared into the sky. In an instant, the sky above the Livefire Palace was dyed red by the flames. It was like a world of lava, wanting to incinerate this entire space. In the air, numerous terrifying lava fire dragons appeared, letting out heaven-shaking roars of rage. After that, they sped towards the horizons with inconceivable speed, resembling bolts of blood-colored lightning. Livefire dragons. The hearts of everyone trembled incomparably. The majestic Livefire Palace turned red as towering flames ignited. The entire Livefire Palace shook, and everyone in the surrounding region stared at the majestic palace, feeling fear in their hearts. After that, they stared at the Livefire dragons in a daze. They understood that something major had happened, something that could shake the heavens. In the lifelong realm, in the lifelong Saint Hall, an expert soared through the air as though something urgent had happened. He came to a majestic palace in the lifelong Saint Hall and bowed. "This subordinate has something important to report to the palace lord." "What's the matter?" A voice rang out from within. "The Livefire Grand Formation of the Livefire Palace has been activated. According to our investigations, the Livefire Empyrean went to capture Qin Wentian and encountered a frenzied counterattack. He is currently fighting against Jialan Jiangshan." That person lowered his head and replied. The wind whistled as a figure abruptly descended. This person was none other than the lifelong Realm Lord. He stared at the person who came to make the report and spoke. "Tell me in detail what happened? Why does Jialan Jiangshan dare to start a war against the Livefire Palace?" Although Jialan Jiangshan was someone from a peak power, he was after all someone who wasn't part of the lifelong realm. The Livefire Palace was under the jurisdiction of the lifelong realm, and the Livefire Empyrean was his subordinate. Now that a war erupted, the first thing he wanted to question was who gave Jialan Jiangshan the guts to do this? This was the rule of the lifelong realm. This matter was caused by Governor Qin Wentian. The Livefire Empyrean said that Qin Wentian killed the Jialan monarch and went to capture him. However, he didn't have any concrete evidence and decided to kill him first before reporting. After Governor Di Tian learned of this, he brought the Jialan clan over. Both sides had their own version of events and a conflict occurred, resulting in a war. That person continued to bow as he reported. The Livefire Empyrean must be fearful of Qin Wentian, right? He actually has such guts, killing someone who obtained the top-ranking battle result just like that. Also, Di Tian appeared together with Jialan Jiangshan. Is this a coincidence? Humph, both of them are truly audacious. What sort of character was the lifelong Realm Lord? He instantly understood the cause and effect the moment he heard this. It was like he could see through everything. Realm Lord, how should we handle this? Do we need to stop this? That person asked. Since they want to play, just let them be. There's no need to interfere. I truly want to see if the supervisory commander, who obtained the top ranking in the martial competition, can win against the Livefire Empyrean if he joined forces with the Jialan clan. The lifelong Realm Lord casually spoke like he didn't care at all. He was a lofty existence, treating everyone as a chess piece. As long as they didn't threaten his position, as long as it was within the rules, he couldn't be bothered to interfere. Retreat, there's no need to report this matter anymore. When the final result is out, they will naturally come to the lifelong Saint Hall to beg for forgiveness. The lifelong Realm Lord calmly spoke. Yes, Realm Lord. That person bowed and retreated. The lifelong Realm Lord turned his gaze towards the horizons as sharpness gleamed in his eyes. He didn't expect that the two most outstanding characters from the grand banquet back then would be able to cause such a storm in the Lifefire Palace so quickly. As expected, geniuses were unwilling to be left out. In the airspace above the northern governor's manor of Lifefire City, the terrifying battle continued. At this moment, a terrifying scene appeared in the distance. Numerous Lifefire dragons soared through the air, dyeing the sky red, as though they wanted to annihilate the heavens and earth. The Lifefire dragons directly flew towards the gigantic white snake in Jialan Jiangshan. Each of the Lifefire dragons contained a towering destructive might. This is the power of the Lifefire Grand Formation. Beauty Zhao's beautiful eyes froze. Although she knew of the existence of the Lifefire Grand Formation, she had never seen it activated before. She didn't expect that the Lifefire Empyrean would still be able to activate it despite being so far away. This caused a look of worry to appear in her eyes. If Jialan Jiangshan was defeated, the consequences would be unimaginable. Just when she was worried, the Lifefire dragons grew more and more terrifying. From the faraway Lifefire Grand Formation, more and more Lifefire dragons soared through the air, as though they were controlled by the Lifefire Empyrean's will, wanting to bury the entire sky. Lin Ba and the others who were subjugated felt their hearts trembling again. What should they do? If the Empyrean won, wouldn't these traitors be in dire straits? Just when they were feeling worried, a thunderous rumbling sound rang out. Jialan Jiangshan was struck and actually coughed out a mouthful of blood. His body was flung through the air as numerous Lifefire dragons lunged over, spitting out lava-like flames. Jialan Jiangshan was forced to retreat repeatedly, and was struck once more. His entire body turned red, as though he was covered in lava. He was like a devil that just walked out from the lava of hell. With a thunderous boom, Jialan Jiangshan's aura fluctuated. His body was in tatters and his countenance was pale as he retreated again and again. The Lifefire Empyrean stepped out as the Lifefire dragons revolved around him, exuding a fearsome might. His eyes burned with a terrifying Lifefire light, and everywhere he passed by, everything would be destroyed. For traitors, I will wipe them all out. The Lifefire Empyrean coldly spoke. At this moment, numerous terrifying auras erupted forth once more. Those who were subjugated by Qin Wentian and the others wanted to rebel again, directly launching sneak attacks at the Emperor Pavilion and the Jialan clan. The situation was changing rapidly, they had to survive no matter what. Puchi. A light sound rang out. Sword Qi whistled through the air, directly penetrating the head of an immortal emperor, killing him on the spot. Puchi, Puchi, Puchi. The Sword Qi river around Qin Wentian flowed, transforming into bolts of lightning. To the crowd's shock, they discovered that those immortal emperors all died one after another. They turned with great difficulty, wanting to see who was the one who killed them. When they saw Qin Wentian, all of their faces turned ashen, filled with terror and despair. Fickle, continuously betraying us. What's the point of keeping such a vile character alive? Qin Wentian coldly spoke. His white robes were still the same. He took a step out and soared through the air, instantly appearing before Jialan Jiangshan. The Lifefire dragons frenziedly rushed over, spitting out terrifying lava flames. However, an extraordinary aura gushed forth from Qin Wentian. The Sword Qi river flowed through the air, clashing against the lava flames, destroying them. At the same time, numerous gigantic spatial prisons appeared, directly trapping the Lifefire dragons within. In an instant, countless gigantic spatial cages appeared in the sky. The Leaf-Fire dragon roared madly, trying to break free. Everyone inclined their heads and stared at the sky, feeling their hearts pounding violently. It was like they didn't dare to believe the scene before their eyes. The northern governor, Qin Wentian, actually stood before the Lifefire Empyrean, fighting against him head-on? Heavens, who can tell me what is going on exactly? Someone spoke incoherently. This person was from the northern governor's manor. He was originally already filled with reverence for the supreme Qin Wentian. Right now, when he saw that their governor could actually face the Livefire Empyrean head-on, he felt a little frenzied. Chapter 1661. The people of the governor's manor were all trembling. They stared at their governor, the mysterious governor who rarely appeared before them. However, this didn't affect the respect they had for Qin Wentian. Everything he did before was simply too shocking. Right now, was this godlike existence going to baptize their hearts once again? Fighting against the Livefire Empyrean, what did this mean? Their governor only used a few tens of years to accomplish something many wouldn't be able to accomplish in their entire lives. From the mid-stage of the immortal Emperor realm, he stepped into the Empyrean realm, becoming an existence on the same level as the Livefire Empyrean. This was too terrifying, simply unheard of. They couldn't help but to ask themselves, would there still be such a magnificent character in this world? At the very least, they had never seen such a character before. Not only for the people of the governor's manor, even for those who had already guessed it, when they personally saw Qin Wentian standing in front of the Livefire Empyrean, blocking his attack, their hearts trembled uncontrollably. This scene was truly shocking enough. They didn't dare to imagine, could the talent of a human really be so strong? Although it was said that stepping into the Empyrean realm from the immortal Emperor realm depended on one's comprehension, comprehension was far more difficult compared to absorbing astral energy from the heavens and earth. If not, there wouldn't be so many experts stuck at a certain level, unable to advance any further. But when it came to Qin Wentian, they actually felt that there was no bottleneck at all. Beauty Zhao's eyes flashed with a dazzling light as she smiled. Beauty Zhao's beautiful eyes flashed with a dazzling light as she smiled. Her judgment was truly very good. However, she was also worried. After all, she has been in the Livefire Palace for many years and has never seen the Livefire Empyrean personally fighting against others. The Livefire Empyrean who has been at this level for countless years should be even stronger, right? Would Qin Wentian be in danger? Great waves rose in the hearts of the Jialan clan's people. Right now, even they had no way to see through the situation today. Earlier, the spiritual character of their Jialan clan, Jialan Jiangshan, was defeated by the Livefire Empyrean. At that instant, they felt as though they had fallen into the abyss, feeling that the Jialan clan's mission this time around would end in a miserable state. But at this moment, Qin Wentian walked out and displayed his terrifying strength. In that case, why would Qin Wentian be injured by the Livefire Empyrean's attack earlier? Why did Qin Wentian directly enter closed-door seclusion after returning to Livefire City? He didn't head to the Livefire Palace as per the imperial edict? Not only were the people of the Jialan clan puzzled, Zhuge Xiong was puzzled as well. Many people were feeling puzzled as well. They all thought that Qin Wentian was merely a catalyst. Ditian only made use of the Livefire Empyrean to deal with Qin Wentian, taking advantage of the Livefire Empyrean's mistake and joining forces with the Jialan clan to cause the Livefire Empyrean to change the Livefire Empyrean. Qin Wentian wasn't that important. But was that really the case? The instant Qin Wentian stepped out, many people's hearts wavered. Didn't Qin Wentian know all this? Are Ditian and Qin Wentian working together? The gazes of everyone turned to Ditian only to see that the masked Ditian was still as mysterious as ever. Even the people of the Jialan clan felt that they couldn't see through him. This was especially so for the clan leader of the Jialan clan, Jialan Yuntian. Back then at the grand banquet, he already felt that something was wrong when he saw Ditian's talent. But after that, Ditian maintained a friendly relationship with the Jialan clan and borrowed their strength to establish a foothold in Lifelong City. Hence, Jialan Yuntian felt that Ditian only wanted to borrow their Jialan clan strength. But today when he saw this scene, he felt an intense sense of unease in his heart. He felt that something was wrong. This person Ditian was more and more unfathomable to him. Could it be that when Ditian joined forces with the Jialan clan, he also had an extraordinary relationship with Qin Wentian? No matter what everyone was thinking at this moment, nothing was more important than this battle. Hence, the gazes of everyone were still fixed on the battlefield in the air. Back then when I told Zhuge Xiong to inform you to return, you ignored him. Tens of years later when you returned to Livefire City, you directly went into closed-door seclusion, saying that you wanted to break through. But in truth you have already broken through. Your purpose of doing this should be to lure me here personally, right? In that case, who was it that leaked the secret to you back then? The Livefire Empyrean stared at Qin Wentian as he asked. He was also shocked in his heart. Qin Wentian had actually reached such a level. This was truly out of his expectations. He initially thought that in the future, Qin Wentian wouldn't be able to be controlled. This was why he was prepared to act. But who would have thought that the current Qin Wentian was already so hard to control? Qin Wentian didn't reply. He replied, I've always abided by my duty, yet Palace Lord, you want to kill me no matter what. Today I can only challenge Palace Lord. Abided by your duty? The Livefire Empyrean coldly laughed. Right now, he could already be sure that the Jialan monarch had died in the hands of Qin Wentian. Let me guess. There are two traitors today, Sun Qian and Beauty Xiao. Sun Qian is Ditian's subordinate. In that case, the one who informed you should be Beauty Xiao, right? I didn't expect that Beauty Xiao would actually take such a risk for you. The Livefire Empyrean laughed. Since this is the case, I'll grant the two of you your wish today. You will understand that although both of you are at the Empyrean realm, the difference between the Empyrean realm and the World Overlord realm is extremely vast. I'll wait and see. Qin Wentian's white robes fluttered in the wind as the sword qi river around him flowed unceasingly. Within the Livefire Palace, there were still many Livefire dragons flying over, spiraling in the air. The space behind the Livefire Empyrean and above had long been dyed red by Livefire, resembling a world of lava. Countless bolts of blood-colored lightning flashed unceasingly, and the Livefire dragons continued to roam about in this world of lava, letting out terrifying roars. The Livefire Empyrean was originally already terrifying enough. Now that he borrowed the power of the Livefire Grand Formation, his aura surged explosively, dominating Jialan Jiangshan. He wanted to tell everyone in Livefire City that in the boundless regions of the Livefire Palace, no one could challenge his prestige. Boom! Blood-red lightning bolts that resembled doomsday rained down from the sky, exuding malevolence, directly slamming into Qin Wentian. However, terrifying spatial law fluctuations radiated from Qin Wentian. When the blood-red lightning bolts descended, his body seemed to be in an independent space. Spatial law light flashed unceasingly and the blood-red lightning bolts clearly rained down on him, yet they didn't manage to touch him. Spatial law source origin. Upon seeing this scene, the Livefire Empyrean's heart couldn't remain calm. What Qin Wentian comprehended wasn't merely a single type of law source origin energy. He comprehended multiple types of law source origin energy. Was his cultivation base really only at the mid-stage of the Immortal Emperor realm during the Grand Banquet tens of years ago? Although the Livefire Empyrean had personally witnessed it and knew that it was real, he still couldn't help but to ask himself. Boundless Livefire light rained down. The Livefire Empyrean formed a series of hand seals, causing the sky to tremble. A blood-red doomsday Livefire palm imprint manifested, containing tens of thousands of dancing dragons, wanting to devour the heavens and earth as it blasted towards Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's hands moved rapidly, stabbing out with a single finger. His sword was like the wind. The sword qi river transformed into terrifying bolts of lightning that blasted towards the palm imprint. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out unceasingly. The boundless sword light clashed against the Livefire dragons in the palm imprint. However, the Empyrean-level palm imprint still continued to descend, bringing with it a world-destroying might that seemed capable of burying everything in this world. Qin Wentian's expression was solemn. His body radiated boundless light. In an instant, the entire space was illuminated, even more blinding compared to sunlight. Many people couldn't endure the light and closed their eyes. There were some who felt that their eyes were about to be blinded by the blinding light. The terrifying Livefire palm imprint slammed into Qin Wentian. However, amidst the boundless radiance, a Buddhist Dharma body appeared, opening up a space of its own, unmoving like a mountain. Boom, boom, boom. Numerous shocking palm imprints blasted over, unceasingly slamming into Qin Wentian. In the air, countless beams of light shot over, burying Qin Wentian within. Just when everyone thought that this was merely a pure attack, the terrifying Livefire innate technique seemed to have a life of its own. It squirmed unceasingly, transforming into a Livefire clone that resembled a Livefire divinity, incomparably gigantic and unexcelled in the world. His palm imprint was like a live-fire prison, trapping Qin Wentian within. Careful, that's his live-fire clone. He borrowed the power of the live-fire grand formation to activate it, allowing him to use the power of the entire grand formation. Jialan Jiangshan was an old opponent of the live-fire Empyrean. He knew that the live-fire Empyrean had a live-fire clone, but this was the first time he fought against the live-fire Empyrean in Live-Fire City. The live-fire Empyrean could directly borrow the power of the live-fire grand formation to augment his combat prowess. The hearts of everyone pounded violently. Qin Wentian also understood why the live-fire Empyrean would be so sure that he had an avatar that killed the Jialan monarch after Zhuge Xiong spoke of his conjecture. So it turned out that the live-fire Empyrean himself had also cultivated an avatar technique, the live-fire clone. Hence, he believed Zhuge Xiong's words and believed that he had an avatar as well. Terrifying swords of light appeared in the prison, as well as numerous arms frenziedly smashing out. Qin Wentian unceasingly tried to break out of the prison, but he only saw boundless lava cascading down from the air, wanting to melt the space where Qin Wentian was at. When Qin Wentian's body appeared, his entire person seemed to have transformed into a man made of lava. The live-fire clone of the live-fire Empyrean directly grabbed onto him, wanting to refine him to death. No matter how high your talent is, you won't be able to escape death today. Also for Beauty Xiao, I will grant her your wish and let her accompany you. Not only for the two of you, all the traitors today shall be executed. The live-fire Empyrean and the live-fire clone spoke at the same time, their voices reverberating through the air, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble. The live-fire Empyrean was the lord of Live-Fire City. Was there still no one who could challenge his might? Qin Wentian, this supreme genius, would die here today. Chapter 1662. The live-fire Empyrean's might was too terrifying. At this moment, the vast majority of people hoped that Qin Wentian would be victorious. Once the live-fire Empyrean defeated Qin Wentian, it was unknown how many people would die here today. The northern governor Qin Wentian, the supervisory governor Di Tian, and the Jialan clan forced the live-fire Empyrean to such an extent. It could already be said that they wouldn't rest until one party died. Even if the live-fire Empyrean was victorious in the end, he wouldn't be able to escape the accusations of the Realm Lord. If he won today, he would definitely kill all the traitors, causing countless casualties. However, right now, Qin Wentian couldn't even protect himself. Would he still be able to win? The terrifying magma flames wanted to bury Qin Wentian within. Qin Wentian's body radiated boundless radiance, as though it could purify everything in the world. Qin Wentian closed his eyes. His entire person became incomparably holy, inviolable. The magma flames that were gradually solidifying were being torn apart, frenziedly devoured. Just when the radiance was about to kill its way out, Qin Wentian's eyes were closed. The live-fire Empyrean's clone clasped his hands together, wanting to crush Qin Wentian to death. However, the radiance was still as bright as ever. Even when the might of the live-fire grand formation bore down on him, it was still unable to obstruct Qin Wentian from escaping. And at this moment, the live-fire Empyrean's true body swept his gaze over to everyone here. Do you all regret betraying this seat? The hearts of everyone trembled. The hearts of all the experts trembled. When Sun Qian saw the live-fire Empyrean's gaze, he instantly hid behind Di Tian. As for those who surrendered, they were all trembling with fear. Today was simply too miserable for them. This was truly the end of the world. No matter what they did, no matter what choice they made, there was only death waiting for them. At the end of the day, they would still die in this struggle for supremacy. Kill! The live-fire Empyrean roared. In an instant, numerous live-fire palms descended from the sky, shooting towards Di Tian, Sun Qian, and Beauty Xiao. The first people he wanted to kill were none other than these three. These two were the first to betray him, his subordinates. He couldn't spare them. As for Di Tian, the mastermind behind everything today, he had to kill him as well. His gaze was extremely terrifying, capable of scorching everything. Di Tian froze when he saw this tyrannical attack. After that, an incomparably terrifying greater demon manifested around him, directly launching an attack towards the palm imprint, causing a thunderous boom to echo out. On the other side, Beauty Xiao no longer had any strength to resist. She had no way to endure the Livefire Empyrean's gaze. The terrifying Livefire palm imprint directly crushed her. Release her. An incomparably resplendent light radiated forth. Qin Wentian was like a god of light, unexcelled in the world. He stared at the Livefire Empyrean. Release her. The Livefire Empyrean's expression grew unsightly. He glanced at Qin Wentian before turning to Ditian. His expression grew colder and colder. Ditian, you have actually broken through to this level as well. The hearts of the crowd trembled. They were already numb to this. All of their hearts were trembling. Everything that had happened today was too shocking. One incident after another, and each incident had left them shocked. Right now, the Livefire Empyrean said that the supervisory commander Ditian was actually the same as Qin Wentian stepping into that level. Thinking back to those years ago at the lifelong grand banquet, Qin Wentian and Ditian's names shook the world. Right now, both Qin Wentian and Ditian had actually surpassed the immortal emperor realm, stepping into the saintly realm. These two demon-level geniuses seemed to be unwilling to fall behind others. The eyes of the Jialan clan's experts all froze, staring at Ditian, who was advancing unceasingly as great waves rose in their hearts. Ditian joined forces with the Jialan clan, wanting to drag the Livefire Empyrean down from his high horse. However, was it really because of his relationship with the Jialan clan? Was it because of his relationship with Jialan Chuyue? Did he do this simply because he wanted to help the Jialan clan rise? Before this, everyone thought so. But now their hearts wavered. If Ditian was still at the immortal emperor realm, there was a high possibility that he was doing this for the sake of the Jialan clan. But he actually concealed the fact that he had already stepped into that level. What did this mean? This meant that he already had the strength to sit on the Livefire Empyrean's throne. In addition to his talent, the lifelong Realm Lord's recognition of him, as well as the influence of his Emperor Pavilion in Livefire City, he, Ditian, would definitely be more qualified to sit on the Livefire Empyrean's throne compared to the Jialan clan's Jialan Zhongshan. In the crowd far away, Jialan Chuyue's countenance turned pale. Jialan Yuntian's gaze froze. Everything finally became clear. Ditian was on good terms with the Jialan clan because he wanted to borrow their strength. Also, what he was after was the Livefire Empyrean's throne, not the mere friendship of the Jialan clan and Jialan Chuyue's beauty. Compared to that position, what could all of this count for? Ditian had deceived everyone, including their Jialan clan. They were merely pawns for Ditian. The Jialan clan, a peak power of the lifelong realm, actually became a tool for Ditian to use. This sounded extremely ironic. However, this also proved how frightening a person Ditian was. Palace Lord, since things have already come to this, why must you implicate the innocent? Regardless of whether Sunqian and Beauty Shao exist or not, you will eventually fall from that position. This is the general trend. Ditian slowly spoke. General trend? The Livefire Empyrean laughed. The blood-colored flames in the sky trembled as he spoke. Ditian, what a powerful scheme. However, I don't believe that you have the strength to deal with me. Also, you have so many subordinates. If I wanted to kill them, would you be able to stop me? Regardless of the Jialan clan seniors acting earlier or Governor Qin acting now, I didn't act to help at all. I did so because I wanted Palace Lord to have a chance to fight fair and square, deciding victory or defeat. Palace Lord, why must you implicate others and use my subordinates to threaten me? Could it be that there are no family members of Palace Lord in the Livefire Palace? You should at least think for them. Ditian threatened him without holding back. Ha ha. The Livefire Empyrean laughed loudly, feeling a hint of madness in his voice. He, the Livefire Empyrean, the king of the Livefire Palace, was actually being threatened by someone. The Livefire Empyrean grabbed Beauty Shao before him. Ditian's expression froze, only to see the Livefire Empyrean glancing at Qin Wentian. Back then, for the sake of Yi Qinyu and Princess Kitamura, you could even do some crazy things. Now I wonder what you can do for Beauty Shao, who betrayed me to help you? Qin Wentian's eyes gleamed with sharpness. As the Livefire Empyrean, aren't you a little too despicable to use such a method to threaten me? I also didn't expect that I would face 3 people at this level today. Since this is the case, I can only get rid of one of you first. The Livefire Empyrean coldly spoke. The charm of this Beauty Shao isn't small. From what I know, she hates men and is an extremely pragmatic person. However, she was actually willing to take the risk to betray me for you. This isn't like her in the past. In that case, I want you to endure my attack for her. Are you willing? Beauty Xiao turned pale as she stared at Qin Wentian. Qin Wentian's expression also turned ashen. He glanced at Beauty Xiao before speaking to the Lifire Empyrean. Lifire Empyrean, did you not hear Governor D's words? Could it be that you don't have any family members in the Lifire Palace? After I kill you, I will naturally kill Di Tian. You are a traitor. Do you still want to live? The Lifire Empyrean coldly spoke. The Lifire Empyrean is afraid. The eyes of many flashed. If the Lifire Empyrean truly had the confidence to kill all of these people, given his status, there was basically no need for him to do such a shameful thing. If the Lifire Empyrean wanted to kill Beauty Xiao, he would have directly done so. But he didn't do so. Instead, he used Beauty Xiao to threaten Qin Wentian. This indicated that from Qin Wentian, the Lifire Empyrean felt a threat. He was no longer as confident as before. Lifire Empyrean, I challenged you head-on. If you dare to use such despicable methods, don't blame me for being ruthless. Qin Wentian's expression was extremely cold. Give up your defense. The Lifire Empyrean exerted force in his palm. In an instant, Beauty Xiao's body was engulfed in flames as she screamed in agony. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed as he stared at Beauty Xiao. Upon seeing the look of agony on her face, his heart struggled intensely. He didn't have too many feelings for Beauty Xiao. However, after all, they had a relationship before. In addition, Beauty Xiao didn't hesitate to betray the Lifire Empyrean for his sake. Before this, she didn't know of his arrangements and nobody knew that he would win. But now, she had resolutely chosen to stand on his side. Boom! A towering aura gushed forth from Di Tian as the boundless laws in the area trembled violently. A terrifying sealing energy radiated forth as boundless sealing light shot up into the sky, blocking the apocalyptic flames that dyed the sky red. He stepped out as a sealing tempest manifested, wanting to seal this entire space. He spoke, Governor Qin, since the Lifire Empyrean is so despicable, let's join forces and directly kill him. As he spoke, he glanced at the Lifire Empyrean. Palace Lord, if you have thought things through and don't implicate others, I can still spectate from the side. Di Tian was doing this because he wanted to pressure the Lifire Empyrean, forcing him to give up. Qin Wentian, have you thought it through? The Lifire Empyrean could sense the might radiating from Di Tian. He was even more determined in his heart. He had to kill one of them first. If not, with these two supreme characters in Jialan Zhongshan around, it would be too dangerous for him. Qin Wentian's expression was unsightly to behold. The Lifire Empyrean was determined to threaten him. Fine, do it then. Qin Wentian gritted his teeth. The law energy radiating from him was about to dissipate. The eyes of Beauty Xiao, who was captured by the Lifire Empyrean, instantly turned red. She stared at Qin Wentian as a radiant smile flickered in her reddened eyes, exuding a faint charm. She stared at Qin Wentian. Have you gone mad? Given your talent, you are willing to give up resisting for someone like me? Shut up. Qin Wentian glanced at Beauty Xiao as he berated. Beauty Xiao's lips twitched. Her smile grew even more radiant. She then continued, I once said that if one day you and the Lifire Empyrean were to stand on opposing sides, I would definitely stand on your side. I thought that I was already foolish enough today, but I didn't expect you to be even more foolish than me. For a lowly woman like me who is looked down upon by others, if I were to use the life of a supreme character like you to exchange for it, I'm afraid everyone in the world would look down on me. As she laughed, tears flowed down her cheeks. At this moment, all the resistance from her body instantly dissipated. In an instant, the terrifying Lifire directly burned into her body. Her body of flesh and blood had no laws to resist. How could she endure the might of the Lifire? In an instant, she let out a low roar, but she still gritted her teeth, appearing exceptionally strong. She forced herself to maintain that alluring and beautiful smile on her face as she stared at the white-robed young man with shocking talent. Sometimes when you feel despair towards the world, there would always be someone who would appear, giving you a ray of light, illuminating your life. This ray of light was even more precious compared to life itself. Hence, she was willing to give up her life. In addition, she was happy and satisfied. Chapter 1663. Beauty Zhao's reaction caused the hearts of everyone to tremble. The terrifying flames instantly corroded her body. It was too fast, so fast that she couldn't even react in time. Have you gone mad? The Livefire Empyrean roared. Qin Wentian's gaze froze as he stared at Beauty Zhao's silhouette in a daze. Stop! He roared. However, Beauty Zhao didn't stop, allowing the destructive energy to enter her body. The smile on her face was still as radiant as ever. Her life was filled with ups and downs. She refused to obey the arrangements of her clan. She refused to obey fate. She was a wanton person, unrestrained and unrestrained. However, her life wasn't as happy as what she portrayed on the surface. Because she had no dignity. The contempt and humiliation of her clan. The strange gazes of everyone in the world. No one truly respected her. Even for Yin Xiu, who was pursuing her. He was merely lusting after her beauty and wanted to toy with her. Many men were the same as Yin Xiu. Hence she wouldn't give them any chance. She initially thought that all men in the world were like this until she met Qin Wentian. He was so different from the masses, and she once told Qin Wentian that if the Livefire Empyrean and Qin Wentian were to face each other in the future, she would definitely stand on the Livefire Empyrean's side. She would only stand on the stronger side. But today, when no one knew that Qin Wentian had the strength to contend against the Livefire Empyrean, she actually didn't stand on the Livefire Empyrean's side, and chose to help Qin Wentian instead. This was already something that went against logic. She was once again swayed by her emotions. But this time around she finally didn't have to feel regret. Because he was so outstanding, so extraordinary. Also, he was willing to give up resistance for a woman like her. How foolish was this decision? Most probably, everyone here would feel that Qin Wentian was unworthy and feel that he was foolish. Who was she, Beauty Zhao? How could her life be compared to Qin Wentian's? Thank you. Beauty Zhao gently smiled at Qin Wentian. The Livefire Empyrean retracted his palm, and after that, Beauty Zhao's body fell from the air. She was like a willow leaf, so weak and fragile. A formless energy lifted her up. Qin Wentian's silhouette flashed as he directly hugged her. His life energy frenziedly flowed into her body, wanting to prolong her destroyed life force. Why are you doing this? Qin Wentian felt some pain in his heart. Even though he didn't have any feelings for Beauty Zhao, he still felt terrible. Because it's worth it. Let me disappear just like this. I don't want to see my body rot. I want to leave this world when I'm at my most beautiful. Beauty Zhao's voice became exceptionally gentle. Her beautiful eyes were still as bewitching and radiant as ever. However, they seemed to be the last rays of light that could wilt at any moment. This time I'm finally right. Beauty Zhao's beautiful eyes shifted away from Qin Wentian's face as she stared at the sky. The Livefire dyed the sky red, resembling a blood-colored setting sun. At this moment in Beauty Zhao's eyes, this scene was exceptionally beautiful. Her beautiful eyes slowly closed. She was very quiet, there was no pain at all. Being able to have such an ending to her life, to her, she was already very satisfied. Finally, she had ended her lowly and humiliating life. Qin Wentian stared at her serene countenance, yet his heart was still unable to calm down. Even though his death was very calm and he didn't feel any pain, he still felt an intense hatred in his heart. This hatred transformed into towering flames of anger. He inclined his head and stared at the Livefire Empyrean. At this instant, only killing intent could be seen in Qin Wentian's eyes. Light flashed. Beauty Zhao's body gradually dissipated. Just like what she requested, she left this world when she was in her most beautiful state. Qin Wentian stood straight. A terrifying storm ravaged the area. With a flash of his silhouette, he directly vanished from his original location. In the next instant, a spatial prison appeared, trapping both him and the Livefire Empyrean within. Numerous arms blasted out explosively, unleashing palm strikes that were akin to divinities. Sword chi rivers gushed forth, Buddhic light illuminated the world, and killing intent filled the air. The Livefire Empyrean condensed a palm imprint, manifesting a Livefire dragon that roared in rage as it blasted out. The attacks of the two of them frenziedly clashed against each other, causing the heavens and earth to tremble. In the eyes of the Livefire Empyrean, a terrifying killing intent could be seen. The two of them fought intensely, causing the sky to tremble. The The Livefire clone also rushed over, but Detion's silhouette flashed as boundless sealing light shot towards the Livefire clone, sealing the entire space. After the Livefire clone broke free from the Livefire Grand formation, its strength seemed to have weakened greatly. Under its frenzied attacks, it had no way to break free from Detion's seal. Detion's eyes beneath the mask were extremely cold. Both his hands folded seals as numerous sealing gates blasted out, wanting to devour the Livefire clone. Thunderous rumbling sounds rang out. The sealing gates unceasingly slammed into the body of the Livefire clone. Gradually, the Livefire clone grew smaller and smaller, its strength growing weaker and weaker. Finally, a sealing gate descended and the Livefire clone was directly devoured by it. After that, the Livefire clone transformed into a beam of sealing light and vanished from sight. The Livefire clone was destroyed by Detion. How powerful! The hearts of everyone trembled. Right now they were already somewhat numb to this. On the other side, Qin Wentian and the Livefire Empyrean were frenziedly clashing against each other. This time around, Qin Wentian was truly angered. That magnificent figure was angered because of a beauty. Everyone didn't know the relationship between Beauty Xiao and Qin Wentian. But when they saw the scene earlier, they were all extremely moved. They didn't expect that Beauty Xiao, who had a bad reputation, would actually be willing to die for Qin Wentian. Not only that, her death was very peaceful and filled with satisfaction. Maybe she finally found what she wanted. No matter what kind of person she was in the past, she was worthy of everyone's respect. Qin Wentian has comprehended multiple law origins. The Livefire Empyrean has been at this realm for many years and his comprehension is naturally deeper. In addition to the Livefire clone borrowing the power of the Livefire Grand Formation, the Livefire Empyrean was able to contend against Qin Wentian. But now, the Livefire clone has been destroyed and the Livefire Grand Formation is in danger of being sealed. In a direct clash, the Livefire Empyrean is actually inferior to Qin Wentian. Many people watched this battle, already having a premonition of the ending. Even the Livefire Empyrean wasn't able to deal with Qin Wentian alone, let alone Detion. At this moment, Qin Wentian's entire body flowed with resplendent source origins of light. He was like divine fire and each of his attacks contained supreme might, capable of penetrating through everything. Even those who got close to him would be incinerated by the light. Detion's silhouette flashed as he stood in the air. Boundless sealing light enveloped this space, sealing the energy of the Livefire Grand Formation outside. Numerous Livefire dragons howled in rage as they struggled madly. Detion's eyes seemed to be able to seal the sky. The blood-colored sky was sealed and the Livefire Grand Formation was isolated outside. The Livefire Empyrean's strength grew weaker and weaker. After being struck by Qin Wentian, he coughed out a mouthful of blood. The Livefire Empyrean's countenance turned pale. His silhouette flashed, wanting to leave the battlefield. However, Detion directly descended. Numerous sealing chains shot out, directly locking down this space as they shot towards the Livefire Empyrean. The Livefire Empyrean roared in rage. Just as he dodged Qin Wentian's attack, he only saw Detion shooting a glance at him. A sealing chain shot forth with lightning speed, instantly locking onto his arm. Terrifying sealing inscriptions could be seen as they extended towards his body. Boom, boom, boom. The sealing chains directly connected to Detion's eyes. In just a short instant, the Livefire Empyrean was already locked down. If it wasn't for Qin Wentian being there, he wouldn't have been struck so easily. However, who could he blame for this? If it wasn't for the Livefire Empyrean angering Qin Wentian and threatening Detion, they wouldn't have joined forces at all. Boom! The Divine Radiance fist directly penetrated through the Livefire Empyrean's shoulder blade. The Livefire Empyrean let out a low roar as even more sealing runes engulfed his body, completely locking him down. Qin Wentian stretched his hand out, grabbing hold of one of the Livefire Empyrean's arms. Boundless light and sharp swords flowed as one of the Livefire Empyrean's arms was gradually destroyed, transforming into nothingness. Tortured to death. Although the spectators were already numb to this scene, they still couldn't help but feel their hearts pounding. The Livefire Empyrean, was being tortured to death at this moment. Before this, they felt that the possibility of the Livefire Empyrean winning was higher. But who would have thought that the ending would be so shocking? If the Livefire Empyrean didn't use Beauty Xiao and Detion's subordinates to threaten Qin Wentian, Qin Wentian would have fought against him alone. Qin Wentian had the augmentation from the Livefire Grand Formation and a Livefire clone. How could he not have the strength to fight against the Livefire Empyrean? If he could win, he could fight against Ditian again. Sadly, he took the wrong step. This step completely enraged Qin Wentian. Ditian didn't want to give him any chance. Hence, the two of them joined forces. Even the powerful Livefire Empyrean had no way to resist at all. Arg! Another scream of misery rang out. The other arm of the Livefire Empyrean was crushed. His expression contorted, incomparably malevolent. Right now, he still had no way to accept such a situation. Who was he? The lofty king of the Livefire Empyrean, the lord of this boundlessly vast region, a marquis of the lifelong realm. Right now, he was actually going to die in the hands of two juniors who had only been famous for tens of years. Back then, he merely treated Qin Wentian as a chess piece. But now, this chess piece was actually torturing him to death. Boom! Another punch blasted out, penetrating through the Livefire Empyrean's chest, destroying everything in his body. The malevolent expression on the Livefire Empyrean's face gradually turned into terror. He finally knew what he was going to face. He stared at Qin Wentian with despair in his eyes. Boom boom boom. Qin Wentian's rage completely erupted forth. With a single strike, the Livefire Empyrean was already no longer in human form. Spare me! The Livefire Empyrean roared. Someone as powerful and lofty as him was actually begging for mercy. Boom! Another destructive strike blasted out. Under the despairing gaze of the Livefire Empyrean, this strike directly blasted towards his head. Under the radiance of the light, his body crumbled apart as his soul light dissipated bit by bit. The Livefire Empyrean thought back to the past. If he didn't imprison Yi Qianyu and handed her over to Qin Wentian instead, in that case, would history be rewritten? Would everything lead to a different ending? Would Qin Wentian really be used by him? There were no ifs. Everything was already set in stone. The Livefire Empyrean died. The Livefire Palace would change. Chapter 1664. The sealing energy in the air vanished. The blood-colored Livefire that dyed the sky red also gradually dissipated. The Livefire Grand Formation also calmed down. There was no longer an endless stream of energy gushing over from afar. Sunlight cascaded down on the earth, radiating warmth and warmth. A light breeze gusted by, fluttering the hair of everyone. However, at this moment, Livefire City seemed to have become different. In the vast area around the northern governor's manor, there were countless people gathered here. But right now there was only silence. Countless gazes turned to a single location, the location where the Livefire Empyrean vanished, as well as the location where Qin Wentian stood proudly. His white robes fluttered in the wind. Qin Wentian quietly stood in the air. His aura had already been concealed. However, it couldn't mask the magnificence he exuded. Everyone who witnessed this battle understood that even without Ditian, Qin Wentian alone was sufficient to defeat the Livefire Empyrean. Maybe it wouldn't be so easy, but the final ending wouldn't change. This supreme governor was the faith of the northern governor's manor. He was the same as in the past, rarely appearing before the eyes of the public. But every time he appeared, he would definitely cause a huge commotion. The commotion this time would engulf the vast territories governed by the Livefire Palace. And in fact, many places in the lifelong realm would be affected as well. This battle would become his God-conferred battle. It would be even more glorious and shocking compared to the battle at the Grand Banquet back then. In this battle, the Livefire Empyrean would be slain. The northern governor's manor's army stared at the white-robed figure in the air. Their gazes were like they were staring at a god. They thought that the governor they revered was about to die. But who would have thought that such a moment would come? From this moment onwards, they revered Qin Wentian as though they were revering a god. Jialan Jiangshan and the people of the Jialan clan stared at the white-robed figure. The Jialan clan had tried many times to seek peace with Qin Wentian, but they were all rejected. They felt that Qin Wentian was too arrogant and didn't know what was good for him. But what about today? Their Jialan clan used all sorts of methods, wanting to topple the Livefire Empyrean. Today the Livefire Empyrean finally fell. Not only did he fall, he was even killed on the spot. Even their Jialan clan participated in this. However, the people of the Jialong clan didn't feel any excitement in their hearts. In fact, they felt a faint sense of worry in their hearts. Today, everyone thought that this would be a battle between Ditian and the Jialong clan to deal with the Lifefire Empyrean. But now that things have developed to this point, everyone could tell that the things that happened today had exceeded everyone's expectations. What other secrets were there? No one knew, even the Jialong clan couldn't guess. In fact, they didn't even know what would happen after the Lifefire Empyrean died. What attitude would the lifelong Realm Lord have? Who would be the new palace master? They had no way to ascertain who it was. But no matter what, the possibility of Jialong Jiangshan becoming the new palace lord was extremely low. Because in this game their Jialong clan was merely a pawn being used by someone else. Also, Jialong Jiangshan was defeated. Would the one who was used and the one who lost be qualified to become the palace lord? Would the realm lord use such a person? Would he be criticized by others? The people of the Emperor Pavilion stared at Ditian. They worshipped this pavilion lord to the extreme. He and Qin Wentian could definitely be said to be a pair of supreme geniuses. Also, for everything that happened today, no matter what was hidden behind the scenes, there was one thing they could be sure of. Ditian was the true soul behind all of this. Both of Zhuge Xiong's arms were crippled. He stared at everything before him as he sighed in his heart. He had always been intelligent, but he had fallen today. Everything was because of a single person, Qin Wentian. Who would have thought that in just a few tens of years, he would grow so powerful to such an extent? If they could imagine this back then, the Lifefire Empyrean wouldn't have spared Qin Wentian and would have killed him long ago. However, no matter what everyone thought, Qin Wentian didn't feel the joy of victory. His gaze slowly turned over, staring at the direction where Beauty Xiao disappeared as he remained silent for a long time. From the Lifefire Palace to the northern city regions, when the Lifefire Grand Formation was activated, the sky was dyed red by the flames. But at this moment the flames vanished. The people of Lifefire City knew that the curtains had already fallen. The battle that forced the Lifefire Empyrean to activate the Grand Formation had already ended. They just didn't know what the ending was. Who was it that could force the Lifefire Empyrean to such an extent in Lifefire City? Right now, that person who dared to provoke the Lifefire Empyrean most probably had already died. The Lifefire Empyrean personally acted and initiated a great battle, dyeing the sky red. How could he still be alive? At this moment, a voice rang out in the minds of a few people. After that, they all took out their messaging crystals and started to converse with some people. Very swiftly, a thunderbolt from the clear sky rang out in Lifefire City, causing the hearts of countless people to turn numb. The Emperor Pavilion Lord, Supervisory Commander Ditian, joined forces with the Northern Governor's Manor, Qin Wentian, and killed the Lifefire Empyrean on the spot. Once this news circulated out, it shocked the entire world. The commotion swept through the entire Lifefire City at a terrifying speed, and was even spreading out of Lifefire City. Countless people received the news that the Lifefire Empyrean led his troops, and wanted to kill Governor Qin Wentian without any evidence. However, Ditian and the experts from the Jialong clan rushed over, and stopped the Lifefire Empyrean. Both sides drew their swords and a huge battle ensued. The Lifefire Empyrean activated the Lifefire Grand Formation, and defeated Jialong Jiangshan of the Jialong clan. At this moment, the northern governor, Qin Wentian, suddenly erupted forth with strength that was comparable to the Lifefire Empyrean. In the end, he and Ditian joined forces and killed the Lifefire Empyrean. While the people of Lifefire City were shocked, a voice rang out in their minds. The sky of Lifefire City was about to change. The people of the Lifefire Palace naturally also received the news. When they learned that the Lifefire Empyrean had died, everyone in the palace was completely stunned. All of them had expressions of terror on their faces. This was especially so when they learned that the Lifefire Empyrean used Beauty Xiao as a hostage to threaten Qin Wentian, causing Beauty Xiao to die in the end. Their hearts were filled with unease, and they instantly contacted the Lifelong Saint Hall. In fact, many people directly used the teleportation array in the Lifefire Palace to teleport to Lifelong City. The Lifelong Saint Hall didn't receive the news slower than the Lifefire Palace. In the Lifelong Saint Hall, the Lifelong Realm Lord was currently in a great hall, listening to the report. When he learned that Qin Wentian and Ditian both broke through to the Empyrean realm and joined forces to easily kill the Lifefire Empyrean, A look of shock involuntarily appeared on his face. Although he was a realm lord and had seen countless geniuses before, he still felt shock in his heart. This time around, two supreme characters actually appeared in Lifefire City. In addition, he had met both of them before. Both of them had once displayed their outstanding talent in the grand banquet tens of years ago. In just a short period of tens of years, they managed to kill the Lifefire Empyrean. What do you all think? After the lifelong realm lord heard the complete report, he asked the experts before him, "Your subordinate feels that all of this should be orchestrated by that supervisory commander. Realm lord, you personally appointed this supervisory commander, and he's an extraordinary character with extremely powerful methods. That old fox Jelon Jiangshan and the entire Jelon clan were all used by him, becoming his lackeys. What's laughable is that the Jelon clan still thought that this was an opportunity for them, thinking that Ditian is infatuated with their young miss. The entire Jelon clan has been bewitched by Ditian." Person laughed. Not only for the Jelon clan, before Ditian revealed his strength, who wouldn't be in the dark? This move of his can be said to be a trick that crosses the heavens and the sea. Everyone thought that he was fighting for the Jelon clan, and wanted to ally with them to deal with the Lifefire Empyrean. Who would have thought that he was actually inciting the two hegemons to fight for supremacy? But in the end, he became the fisherman. Another person spoke. "In that case, what about Qin Wentian?" The lifelong realm lord asked. Could it be that Ditian has also joined forces with Qin Wentian? Have they been plotting against each other? Maybe. But there's no way to tell from the surface. Right now, we have no idea how strong Ditian is exactly. If his personal strength isn't enough to defeat the Lifefire Empyrean, there's a high possibility that he and Qin Wentian understand each other and formed an alliance. If not, after the Lifefire Empyrean defeated the Jelon clan, Ditian wouldn't be able to deal with the Lifefire Empyrean and his ending would be extremely miserable. Your words make sense. I also feel that Ditian knows about this. This man is scheming from the shadows. He's truly a character. Someone at the side nodded. But isn't his scheming a little too deep? His relationship with the Jelon clan isn't bad. Yet he made use of the Jelon clan. For the sake of ascending, he can be said to be unscrupulous. Another person spoke. Isn't such a thing very normal? Given his talent, capabilities, and intelligence, how can he be willing to be under someone else? Yeah, such a person if used well would be like a sharp sword. But if used badly, he would end up harming himself instead. Ditian is a double-edged sword. Everyone discussed. They didn't directly state Ditian's purpose. There was basically no need to say it. With such a terrifying scheme, other than the position of the Lifefire Empyrean, what else could it be? Realm Lord, what do you think? Everyone turned their gazes to the lifelong Realm Lord, only to see him smiling. Let's wait for them to come and beg for forgiveness before we make a decision. Everyone nodded. Very soon, someone came to report that the people from the Lifefire Palace requested an audience with the lifelong Realm Lord, but the lifelong Realm Lord directly rejected them. The Lifefire Empyrean was a marquis of a region, yet he was killed by his own subordinates. In addition, others even had a handle on him. Could it be that he, the lifelong Realm Lord, had to make arrangements for his funeral? What status did he have? He didn't have the leisure to do so. Although the Lifefire Empyrean was a marquis of a region and had a lofty status, to the lifelong Realm Lord, the Lifefire Empyrean was merely a subordinate. If the Lifefire Empyrean died for the lifelong Realm Lord, he would make proper arrangements for his funeral. But the Lifefire Empyrean's death was truly useless. Since this was the case, he might as well find someone more capable and replace him. And now, the lifelong Realm Lord already had a candidate. The victors of this power struggle had already proven that they were more outstanding compared to the Lifefire Empyrean. They were naturally the new Palace Lord's candidates. Just like what the lifelong Realm Lord expected, Ditian and the Jelon clan's experts also arrived at the lifelong Saint Hall not long after. Qin Wentian came as well. As for their purpose of coming here, it was naturally to beg for forgiveness. Killing one of his subordinates, the Lifefire Empyrean, they naturally had to give him, the lifelong Realm Lord, an explanation. Chapter 1665. In the lifelong Saint Hall, in a majestic ancient hall, the lifelong Realm Lord sat on the throne, exuding a supreme might. Empyrean stood to his left and right. They stood there solemnly, giving off an immense pressure. Below the great hall, Qin Wentian, Ditian and Zhelan Jiangshan stood at the very front. Behind them there were many people. For example, Sun Qian, Lin Ba, Zhuge Xiong and the others. They were the witnesses of this matter and naturally had to come. We pay our respects to Realm Lord. Everyone bowed. Regardless of whether they were sincere or not, they all had expressions of respect on their faces. The lifelong Realm Lord didn't say anything, he merely stared at them. The people below all lowered their heads, and after that, Ditian took the lead and spoke. Supervisory Commander Ditian of the Lifefire Palace begs for forgiveness. Oh, what crime did you commit? The lifelong Realm Lord coldly spoke, completely different from before when he was conversing with the people around him. His casual tone was filled with an intense might. In Lifefire City, because the Lifefire Empyrean had a grudge against Governor Qin, he wanted to frame the death of one of his subordinates on Governor Qin, wanting to kill him directly. I received a secret report from Governor Sun Qian of the Lifefire Palace's central city regions and immediately rushed over. I joined forces with Senior Zhelan Jiangshan, wanting to stop the Lifefire Empyrean. However, the Lifefire Empyrean was extremely domineering and treated us as traitors, wanting to kill all of us on the spot. With no other choice, we joined forces and killed the Lifefire Empyrean. Realm Lord, please punish us. Ditian lowered his head even more. Although he was in the right, he did kill one of the World Palace Lords, the Lifefire Empyrean. In addition, he acted first and reported to the lifelong Realm Lord later. You have already killed your way here and now you want to beg for forgiveness? Acting first and reporting to the lifelong Realm Lord? Although I appointed you as the supervisory commander, when did I give you the authority to kill the World Palace Lords? The lifelong Realm Lord's voice was as cold as ever as a formless pressure bore down on Ditian. Realm Lord, the situation back then was extremely urgent. The Lifefire Empyrean actually went crazy and used the lives of others to threaten me. If I didn't kill him, a massacre would surely occur. Given the Lifefire Empyrean's strength, other than a few people, no one would be able to block his killing intent. Ditian bowed and replied, in that case, you are in the right to kill him. Are you helping me to clean the sect? The lifelong Realm Lord coldly snorted. This subordinate wouldn't dare. Ditian lowered his head even more. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly snorted. How could he not know that Ditian was putting on an act? The lifelong Realm Lord had pulled the Xinyuan clan, Zhelan clan and many others from Lifelong City over as witnesses. Clearly, Ditian wanted the Lifefire Empyrean to die in his hands. You don't dare? You're very brave. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly snorted. From now onwards, I will strip you of your position as the supervisory commander. You will also have to pay 10 times the amount of taxes that the Emperor Pavilion didn't pay during these years. Do you have any objections? Your subordinate understands. Ditian nodded respectfully. Zhelan Jiangshan. The lifelong Realm Lord then turned his gaze to Zhelan Jiangshan of the Zhelan clan. He coldly spoke, what about you? Back then when you were vying for power with the Lifefire Empyrean, I've always closed one eye. Now, who gave you the guts to act against the 9 World Palace Lords under me? Zhelan knows my sins. Zhelan Jiangshan didn't dare to explain. At this moment, nobody knew what the lifelong Realm Lord was thinking. In the future when you do things, use your brains more. The lifelong Realm Lord coldly snorted. Zhelan Jiangshan turned pale. The Realm Lord was mocking him. He, Zhelan Jiangshan, was the true overlord of the Zhelan clan, an Empyrean character. He had lived for so many years, yet he was actually used by Ditian. He was truly brainless. The Realm Lord's mocking didn't mean much. This time around his efforts were all for someone else. Finally, the lifelong Realm Lord glanced at Qin Wentian. Governor Qin, you were slandered and almost persecuted. It must have been hard on you. Beauty Xiao also died because of this matter. It's understandable that you wanted to kill her. Many thanks, Palace Lord. Qin Wentian bowed. The lifelong Realm Lord shifted his gaze away and stared at the people below. He then slowly spoke. The Lifefire Empyrean did whatever he wanted and should be punished. Since he is already dead, let's forget everything. Zhuge Xiong incited the Lifefire Empyrean to commit a crime. He deserves death. Drag him away and execute him. Realm Lord. Zhuge Xiong's expression drastically changed, instantly turning pale. After that, powerful guards rushed over and directly restrained Zhuge Xiong. Realm Lord, I know my crimes. Zhuge Xiong roared loudly. However, he was already dragged away. The hearts of everyone here trembled. The Realm Lord was using Zhuge Xiong to establish his might, reminding the others. Very swiftly, a scream of misery rang out from outside. Zhuge Xiong was actually killed right outside the Great Hall. This caused the hearts of everyone to pound. Right now, the Livefire Palace is like a group of dragons without a leader. Everyone, what do you all think? The lifelong Realm Lord glanced at the crowd below as he asked. The atmosphere in the ancient hall was extremely quiet. This was what everyone wanted the most, right? Next, who would be able to replace the Livefire Empyrean's position and become the new Livefire Empyrean? Realm Lord, should we send someone from the lifelong Saint Hall to take over the Livefire Empyrean's position? A person beside the lifelong Realm Lord suggested. Realm Lord, this subordinate has a suggestion. Ditian spoke at this moment. Speak. The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Ditian. After that, Ditian spoke. I feel that the new Livefire Palace Lord should be either Senior Jialan or Governor Qin. Everyone knows that Senior Jialan has always wanted to serve the Realm Lord and take over the Livefire Palace. Also, the Jialan clan has always been in Livefire City, and there are descendants of the Jialan clan who once became the Livefire monarch. They are extremely familiar with the Livefire Palace and are the most suitable candidates. As for Governor Qin, he was originally the northern governor of the Livefire Palace and has governed the northern city regions very well. The people in the governor's manor all respect him. If he becomes the Livefire Palace Lord, he would definitely be able to gain the loyalty of everyone. He is also very suitable. Jialan Zhongshan silently cursed at this bastard when he heard Ditian's words. This time around, he was completely dragged here to serve as a foil. The possibility of Qin Wentian being the Livefire Empyrean was very high. After all, he was a governor himself and had displayed extraordinary strength. In this matter, he was also the one who was wronged. The only stain on his name was that he didn't get rid of the suspicion of killing the Jialan monarch. Logical. What about you? As the supervisory commander, you investigated the problem of Xiahou and Yinqiu. Right now, you even stopped the Livefire Empyrean from killing Governor Qin. Your contributions can be said to be extremely great. In addition to the influence of the Emperor Pavilion in Livefire City, wouldn't it be more suitable for you to become the new Livefire Palace Lord? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Ditian as he spoke. However, his tone was filled with a hint of playfulness. This subordinate doesn't dare to have any improper thoughts. Ditian lowered his head. You don't dare? The lifelong Realm Lord and the people around him stared at him. This fellow first recommended Jialan Zhongshan and Qin Wentian, not wanting the Realm Lord to send people from the lifelong Saint Hall over. Wasn't this precisely because he wanted the Realm Lord to choose from these people? He first excluded himself, but in truth, in this matter, Ditian's role was the core. He was the person who caused the Livefire Empyrean's death. If the Realm Lord wanted to recommend a new Livefire Empyrean, he had sufficient reasons to be the new Livefire Empyrean. What a crafty fellow. Which of the people here weren't intelligent? All of them silently cursed at Ditian, retreating in order to advance. His talent was so high, yet he was still so crafty. No wonder the Livefire Empyrean would be toyed to death by him. Ditian lowered his head and didn't say anything. His purpose was to make everyone misunderstand that everything was a scheme of his. He plotted the Livefire Empyrean's death for the sake of ascending. Also, he didn't conceal his intentions at all. Only people with flaws would the Realm Lord dare to use. If the Realm Lord suspected his relationship with Qin Wentian and felt that everything had something to do with Qin Wentian, the Realm Lord wouldn't dare to use him recklessly. Right now, no matter how the Realm Lord chose the position of the Livefire Empyrean, between him and Qin Wentian, the possibility of one of them becoming the Livefire Empyrean was very high. In addition, the possibility of him becoming the Livefire Empyrean was even higher. This was because his original self, Qin Wentian, was the personal disciple of ancient Emperor Yi. Qin Wentian, you will temporarily take over the position of the Grand Governor of Livefire City. Take charge of everything in Lifefire City and reorganize the Lifefire Palace. The lifelong Realm Lord commanded to Qin Wentian. Yes, Realm Lord. Qin Wentian's expression didn't change. He bowed and accepted the order, as low profile as ever. All right, all of you can return and wait for my orders. The lifelong Realm Lord waved his hand. After that, everyone bowed and retreated. This was also the ending they had expected. At most, the Realm Lord would only punish them on the surface. After all, the Lifefire Empyrean had made a mistake and was killed by them. No one would be able to speak up for him. After Qin Wentian and the others left, the lifelong Realm Lord glanced at the people around him. One of them laughed. Realm Lord, this Deton is truly powerful. If he is loyal to you, we can consider letting him take over the position of the Lifefire Empyrean. Let me consider it a little more. The lifelong Realm Lord stood up and walked out of the Great Hall, coming to an elegant courtyard. Not long after, the lifelong Realm Lord sat down on the ground. There was fine wine and delicacies around him. Before him there were beauties dancing. These were none other than Yi Qianyu and the others from the Red Dust Immortal Palace. At the side, Baiming Yuhuang quietly stood there, admiring the beautiful dance together with him. The lifelong Realm Lord lifted his wine cup and sipped on it. When he stared at the beautiful figures on the dance floor, his eyes flashed with a scorching heat. After a long time the dance stopped. The lifelong Realm Lord didn't say anything and continued to drink his wine. He then spoke. The Lifefire Empyrean has died. He was killed by Qin Wentian. Yi Qianyu and Princess Kitamura both trembled as intense waves rose in their hearts. Yi Qianyu wasn't too surprised about the matter of Qin Wentian killing the Lifefire Empyrean. She knew that it would happen sooner or later, but she didn't expect it to happen so quickly. Her beautiful eyes stared at the lifelong Realm Lord, wanting to know if this matter would cause Qin Wentian to be in danger. Don't you have anything you wish to say? The Lifefire Empyrean stared at Yi Qianyu. Realm Lord, what do you want me to say? Yi Qianyu softly asked. Someone suggested for him to take over the position of the Lifefire Empyrean. However, I'm thinking that the reason why he killed the Lifefire Empyrean was because of you. In the future, after he has enough strength, would he act against me, the lifelong Realm Lord? The lifelong Realm Lord spoke to Yi Qianyu, his words causing Yi Qianyu's expression to turn pale. If the lifelong Realm Lord really thinks this way, Qin Wentian would be in danger. Realm Lord, you are not the Lifefire Empyrean. Leaving aside your strength and status, just based on the fact that you have never made things difficult for me before, Qin Wentian would only feel gratitude when he learns of this. How would he have such thoughts? Yi Qianyu sighed. Chapter 1666. The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Yi Qianyu's eyes. After that he smiled. Do you really think so? Yi Qianyu didn't meet the lifelong Realm Lord's gaze. She lowered her head and smiled naturally. If not, what does Realm Lord think? The lifelong Realm Lord laughed. He drank another mouthful of wine and suddenly asked, Are you willing to serve me? Yi Qianyu's body trembled slightly. After that, she shook her head. This lowly servant doesn't have such fortune. How can I be worthy of serving Realm Lord? What if I say I do? The lifelong Realm Lord asked again. Realm Lord, you should understand my heart. Yi Qianyu inclined her head and stared at the lifelong Realm Lord. At this moment, her beautiful eyes didn't conceal anything as she stared at the lifelong Realm Lord. The lifelong Realm Lord stared at her. After that he smiled. I understand your intentions. I believe that your feelings for Qin Wentian are sincere. Also, everything you do is for his sake. You can leave now. Yes, Realm Lord. Yi Qianyu bowed and left with the people from the Red Dust Immortal Palace. After they left, the lifelong Realm Lord drank alone. All of a sudden, he spoke in a light voice, Yuhong, sit down. I don't dare. Princess Kitamura shook her head. If I tell you to sit, just sit. The lifelong Realm Lord spoke with some unhappiness. Princess Kitamura fell silent for a moment before she sat down beside the lifelong Realm Lord. Pour wine for me. The lifelong Realm Lord spoke. Princess Kitamura hesitated a little, but she still obeyed. Her actions were very calm, just like her personality. Can you understand the conversation between me and Yi Qianyu? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Princess Kitamura as he asked. Princess Kitamura nodded lightly and coldly spoke. Realm Lord, you have killing intent towards my junior apprentice brother. The lifelong Realm Lord laughed. He stared at the side profile of Princess Kitamura as he spoke. I originally shouldn't be so calculative with a subordinate. Also, when I met with him earlier, only Qin Wentian wasn't reprimanded by me. But in truth, he is the person I'm most worried about. For the sake of Yi Qinyu, he could keep a low profile until he killed the Lifire Empyrean. In that case, in the future, would he also act against me, the lifelong Realm Lord? Hence, Realm Lord allowed Yi Qinyu to choose. If Yi Qinyu chooses to serve Realm Lord, would Realm Lord be prepared to kill my junior brother? Princess Kitamura inclined her head and coldly stared at the lifelong Realm Lord. Upon seeing her eyes, the lifelong Realm Lord wasn't angry at all. He only smiled. Yi Qinyu has rejected. I also believe that she is an intelligent woman. For the sake of Qin Wentian, she should know what to do. But now I'm still hesitating. I don't understand. Princess Kitamura shook her head. Why would the Realm Lord treat my junior apprentice brother like this? You've always had your guard up against him. Where is your master now? The lifelong Realm Lord suddenly asked, his words causing Princess Kitamura to start. She didn't have a master, but right now, the first person she thought of was the crazy old freak she met in the Forbidden Grounds back then. It was because of him that she and Qin Wentian got acquainted. Also, they could be considered to be from the same sect. Since the Realm Lord asked this, she could only reply, Master is like a mysterious dragon whose whereabouts are unfathomable. I also have no idea where he is now. You really don't know why I have my guard up against Qin Wentian? The lifelong Realm Lord stared at Princess Kitamura. Princess Kitamura didn't evade. She shook her head. Right now, there's someone recommending Qin Wentian to be the new Lifire Palace Lord, and there are also people advising me to be on guard against him. I'm currently considering how to handle this matter. He is your junior apprentice brother, what do you think? The lifelong Realm Lord asked Princess Kitamura. I naturally hope that the Realm Lord can put my junior apprentice brother in an important position. I also believe that if he becomes the Lifire Palace Lord, he would definitely be able to do a good job. Princess Kitamura directly replied. Let him become the Lifire Palace Lord? The lifelong Realm Lord mumbled. It wasn't impossible for Yi's disciple to become the Lifire Palace Lord. However, Yi's other disciple had to have a closer relationship with him first. I heard that the relationship between you and your junior apprentice brother is very deep. Back then, because of you, he went to Jialan Emperor City to rescue you. When he was in danger, it was Yi Qinyu who saved him. If you want him to become one of the World Palace Lords, it's impossible for Yi Qinyu to continue staying in the lifelong Saint Hall. I don't want to be like the Lifire Empyrean and be hated by his subordinates. The lifelong Realm Lord laughed. Princess Kitamura's beautiful eyes flashed with a bright light. If Qin Wentian became the Lifire Palace Lord, Yi Qinyu would be released as well. This was truly a perfect ending. Qin Wentian would definitely be very happy, right? Upon seeing the bright light in Princess Kitamura's eyes, the lifelong Realm Lord smiled and asked, Yu Huang, you have been by my side for quite some time already. In the future, are you willing to serve me forever? Princess Kitamura's heart trembled when she heard this. Her beautiful eyes involuntarily trembled. She stared at the lifelong Realm Lord, only to see a warm smile in his eyes. It was like he had just said something insignificant. However, these words caused great waves to surge in Princess Kitamura's heart. At this instant, she thought about many things and soon understood the lifelong Realm Lord's intentions. He didn't act like the Lifire Empyrean, and used Yi Qinyu as a hostage to threaten her. Since he planned to use Qin Wentian, he might as well release Yi Qinyu as well. However, he was still worried and wanted to win over Qin Wentian. Hence he said this. She was different from Yi Qinyu. She was Qin Wentian's senior apprentice sister. If this senior apprentice sister became the lifelong Realm Lord's woman, wouldn't the relationship between the lifelong Realm Lord and Qin Wentian grow closer? Princess Kitamura didn't know that the lifelong Realm Lord had another consideration. From the perspective of the lifelong Realm Lord, he naturally didn't want to use Qin Wentian. However, he couldn't really touch Qin Wentian either. After all, Qin Wentian had a master. Hence, he could only use Qin Wentian. However, if he used Qin Wentian, he would feel somewhat unhappy. He already had the Gemini Palace Lord. Now, did he have to use the Liefire Empyrean as well? Hence, he wanted to keep Princess Kitamura by his side. Since one of his disciples became the Liefire Empyrean, the other disciple would be his woman. In addition, he wouldn't force things. If Princess Kitamura rejected, it didn't matter as well. Many scenes flashed through Princess Kitamura's mind. Back then, if it wasn't for her, Qin Wentian wouldn't have been trapped in the Emperor City, Yi Qinyu wouldn't have been captured, and Qin Wentian wouldn't have fallen into this quagmire. In just a few tens of years, he had already reached this step, killing the Liefire Empyrean. What would his future be like? She also wanted to see how far Qin Wentian could go. Sure. A smile actually appeared on Baiming Yuhuang's face. At this moment there was a hint of gentleness in her cold eyes. This caused the lifelong Realm Lord to be stunned. A cold beauty like Baiming Yuhuang would actually have such a side to her. Also, her smile was very sincere. Like this was what she wanted from the start. Haha. The lifelong Realm Lord laughed uproariously. Staring at the flawless countenance of Princess Kitamura, he spoke, "Okay, Yuhuang. It's just that I have to trouble you a little." The lifelong Realm Lord already had wives and concubines. Since Princess Kitamura was serving him, she naturally could only be a concubine. Princess Kitamura casually smiled. She naturally didn't mind. She didn't mind at all, because her heart basically wasn't here. I won't announce this matter to the public for now. I will find an opportunity to hold a grand banquet to welcome you into my sect. The lifelong Realm Lord smiled warmly. Yi's disciple, although she didn't know who her master was, as the lifelong Realm Lord, he wouldn't allow her to be wronged. He would respect all her wishes. Even if he knew about this, he wouldn't be able to say anything, right? Princess Kitamura nodded lightly. I'll go and rest first. Go ahead. The lifelong Realm Lord smiled and nodded. Princess Kitamura turned and left. Her eyes were still as cold as before, without any fluctuations. By doing this, it could be considered as helping him. The lifelong Saint Hall was as calm as ever. It was like they weren't too shaken by the death of a palace lord. However, a huge wave of commotion had already risen in Liefire City. The 9 monarchs of the Liefire Palace all came to the Liefire Palace, waiting for news. After Qin Wentian and the others returned, there were people from the lifelong Saint Hall who announced the lifelong Realm Lord's command, allowing Qin Wentian to temporarily take over the Liefire Palace. Everyone in the Liefire Palace was filled with trepidation. Their loved ones in the Liefire Palace were all shocked, feeling a deep fear in their hearts. Qin Wentian immediately commanded the evil emperor, the central governor Sun Qian, and the eastern governor Lin Ba to lead their troops into the Liefire Palace, directly suppressing the Liefire Palace. With the arrival of the army, in addition to Qin Wentian's tyrannical strength, who would dare to resist? The majestic Liefire Palace was in a state of chaos. Experts could be seen everywhere and battles would occasionally erupt. There were some trusted aides of the Liefire Empyrean who wanted to flee, but they were all intercepted. Qin Wentian stood arrogantly in the air above the Liefire Palace. His might radiated out in all directions as he spoke. Whoever dares to leave the Liefire Palace will be killed without mercy. A terrifying might swept over the Liefire Palace, causing all the experts to tremble. Qin Wentian spoke again. Everyone in the Liefire Palace, including the various monarchs and governors, from now on, no one is allowed to take a single step out of the Liefire Palace. If anyone wants to leave, they have to obtain my permission first. What qualifications do you have to give orders? Someone questioned. Qin Wentian's eyes flashed. With a single glance, a resplendent light flashed, directly penetrating through the eyes of that person, causing that person to scream in pain. Everyone was trembling. By the Realm Lord's orders, I'm temporarily acting as the Grand Governor of the Liefire Palace and will be in charge of everything in Liefire City. If anyone dares to question the Realm Lord's orders, they will be killed without mercy. Qin Wentian coldly spoke. Is there anyone else who is unhappy? Many people were unhappy, but no one dared to say anything. Even the 9 monarchs were unhappy. However, who would dare to stand out? If Qin Wentian was at the Immortal Emperor realm, they would dare to fight for his position. But Qin Wentian has already stepped into that realm. In that case, they could only look up to him in admiration. This governor, who many people weren't familiar with and had only met once, was now above everyone. In fact, he might even become the new Livefire Palace Lord in the near future. The Governor's Manor's army is to guard the palace walls. Without my orders, no one is allowed to leave. Everyone is to wait for the Realm Lord's orders in the Livefire Palace. Qin Wentian calmly spoke. He only controlled everyone and didn't openly take revenge on the people of the Livefire Palace. Right now, the Livefire Palace Lord hasn't given the final order yet. It was better not to be too brazen. Before the final moment, no one knew who the new Livefire Palace Lord would be. Chapter 1667. Ditian was only punished lightly. Qin Wentian wasn't punished at all. Also, the news of him temporarily taking over the position of Grand Governor circulated around Livefire City, causing countless people to be shocked. They all speculated that there was a high possibility that the new Livefire Empyrean would be Qin Wentian. After all, Qin Wentian was the governor of the northern city regions and had outstanding talent, able to fight against the Livefire Empyrean alone. Naturally, the possibility of Ditian taking over was also very high. All of this was planned by him. Sometimes, people would think that maybe Grandmaster D really didn't form an alliance with Qin Wentian. If Qin Wentian didn't appear, the new Livefire Empyrean would definitely be in Ditian's hands. Jialan Jiangshan was directly ignored by everyone. Everyone understood that the position of the new Livefire Empyrean wouldn't be his. At this moment, in the headquarters of the Jialan clan in the northern city regions, the atmosphere was somewhat heavy. Many people of the Jialan clan were gathered here. Jialan Yuntian sat in the leader's seat and asked, "Is there still no news from the Lifelong Saint Hall?" "Nope, everyone is waiting," someone replied. However, the support for Qin Wentian and Ditian is very high. Many people feel that the Realm Lord wouldn't directly send someone from the Lifelong Saint Hall, and would choose one of them to be the new Livefire Empyrean instead. Humph! A cold snort rang out. An elder of the Jialan clan smashed the table in front of him. His expression was extremely unsightly as he spoke. "This time around, our Jialan clan has been completely played by Ditian. How laughable! During these tens of years we contributed a lot to the Emperor Pavilion's development. But now, all of us have become mere foils, helping others to make up for it." Everyone had heavy expressions on their faces. Many people turned their gazes towards Jialan Chua. Jialan Chua stood up and spoke in a low voice. "This matter is all my fault. I was blind and implicated my clan. Chua, this has nothing to do with you. Before this, I've always been the one who wanted to ally with Ditian." Jialan Jiangshan spoke. "Actually, during the grand banquet that year, I've already seen some clues. At that time, I should have been on my guard. It's just that his growth is too fast, so fast that no one expected it. Yeah, who would have expected that he has already stepped into the Empyrean realm, and is now a half-step world overlord? If we knew about this, we would have been even more cautious during this battle. Ditian has truly hidden his strength too deeply." Someone spoke. "In the future, how should we interact with him?" Upon hearing this, everyone fell silent. That's right, how should they interact with Ditian in the future? Although they were made use of by Ditian, Ditian's current status was even more transcendent. Just based on his strength alone, it was sufficient for him to be lofty. In addition to the strength of the Emperor Pavilion that wasn't weaker than the Jialan clan. Right now, Ditian and the Emperor Pavilion had already completely established themselves. Their strength wasn't inferior to the Jialan clan at all. If they became enemies with Ditian, they would have one more terrifying enemy. Let's wait for the news. Jialan Yuntian sighed softly. Right now, the matters of the Emperor Pavilion were no longer something he could decide. He needed his father to make the decision. The Jialan clan was here. Everyone in the Emperor Pavilion was waiting as well. After the battle in the airspace above the northern governor's manor, Ditian rose to fame and the Emperor Pavilion submitted to him wholeheartedly. Right now, everyone treated Ditian as their faith. Everyone in Livefire City was waiting. The lifelong Realm Lord could decide who the new Livefire Palace Lord would be with a single thought. However, this thought of the lifelong Realm Lord would be able to affect the future of the Livefire Palace. Today in the Livefire Palace, the army of the governor's manor was still guarding this place. Everyone in the Livefire Palace had no way to calm their hearts. Everyone was incomparably nervous, and there were also some who were filled with anticipation. However, those who were once the Livefire Empyrean's trusted aides and family only felt fear. They knew that regardless of whether it was Qin Wentian or Di Tian who became the Livefire Palace Lord, they wouldn't have a good ending. The teleportation array in the Livefire Palace suddenly lit up. The resplendent light illuminated all directions, causing countless gazes to turn over. Only the lifelong Saint Hall could directly use this teleportation array to reach the center of the Livefire Palace. But this teleportation array was rarely used. But now, when the light from the teleportation array lit up, countless gazes of the Livefire Empyrean turned over. It was like they had been waiting for a very long time. Within the Grand Formation, a group of figures appeared. They directly soared up into the air, standing in the airspace above the Livefire Palace as a resplendent light radiated from them. The person in the lead took out a holy book and slowly unfurled it. Numerous words shimmered from within, entering the vision of the spectators, directly spreading out in the air. Every word was incomparably clear, dancing in the air. At the same time, the voice of the person from the lifelong Saint Hall rang out. The lifelong Realm Lord has issued an order. The position of the Livefire Palace Lord will be taken over by the former Northern Governor, Qin Wentian. That voice and the words flowed together, causing the hearts of everyone to tremble, causing their hearts to pound unceasingly. 3 days later, there will be envoys from the lifelong realm coming here to congratulate the new Livefire Palace Lord. At the same time, the position of Vice Palace Lord will be taken over by the former Supervisory Commander, Di Tian. Di Tian will also be the Grand Governor and Supervisory Commander of the Livefire Palace. As the sound of this voice faded, the entire Livefire Palace turned so silent that even a pin drop could be heard. The new Livefire Palace Lord Qin Wentian. Di Tian will be the new Livefire Palace Lord. Finally, between Qin Wentian and Di Tian, the lifelong Realm Lord chose Qin Wentian. However, the lifelong Realm Lord also created a new position for Di Tian. The meaning behind this was extremely profound. From today onwards, Qin Wentian would control the boundlessly vast regions of the Livefire Palace, becoming the new overlord of Livefire City. He would lead the 9 monarchs and control the boundlessly vast regions. From today onwards, no one would pursue the death of the Jialan monarch. Even if Qin Wentian was the one who killed the Jialan monarch, no one would dare to investigate further. This case would become an unsolved mystery. From today onwards, Qin Wentian no longer needed to endure in the Livefire Palace. He would be the #1 character in the Livefire Palace. Qin Wentian, do you have any objections? In the air, the person who announced the Realm Lord's order turned his gaze to the white-robed figure below. It was none other than Qin Wentian. This subordinate Qin Wentian thanks the Realm Lord's kindness. I will definitely help the Realm Lord to manage the Livefire Palace's territories well. Qin Wentian bowed slightly as he respectfully spoke. He was very surprised. He initially thought that the position of the Livefire Palace Lord wouldn't belong to him and might belong to Di Tian. Although that didn't matter because they were originally one. He had already made preparations. However, contrary to his expectations, the lifelong Realm Lord actually allowed him to take over the position of the Livefire Palace Lord. Could it be that the lifelong Realm Lord had become magnanimous? Palace Lord Qin, you can organize the Ascension ceremony 3 days later. At that time I will come again. Also, the Realm Lord has prepared a surprise for you. The person in the air laughed. The way he addressed Qin Wentian had already changed. He should be referring to him as Palace Lord Qin instead of Governor Qin. This subordinate has no way to repay the Realm Lord's kindness. Qin Wentian was still polite and respectful. No matter what the lifelong Realm Lord's intentions were, he mustn't be complacent and forget himself. At this moment he had to be even more cautious. Farewell. You should settle the matters of the Livefire Palace first. See you 3 days later. The other party bid farewell. After that, he flew towards the spatial formation and left the Livefire Palace. After the people from the Hall of Longevity left, everyone raised their heads and looked at the white-robed figure in the sky. At this moment, that peerless figure seemed to have become even more outstanding. The current him not only possessed extraordinary strength, he also possessed extraordinary authority and status. Your subordinate pays our respects to the Palace Lord. We pay our respects to the Palace Lord. The people of the northern governor's manor all knelt on one knee. They stared at the white-robed figure in the air, as though they were paying respect to a god. Their faith, their lord governor, was now the new Livefire Palace lord. As everyone bowed, more and more experts knelt on one knee. There were countless people in the Livefire Palace. More than half of them knelt on one knee, expressing their boundless reverence. Your subordinates pay our respects to the palace lord. The 9 monarchs of the Livefire Palace all bowed as well. Although they didn't kneel on the ground, they did bend their waists in a respectful manner. Even if they had some thoughts in their hearts, they didn't dare to reveal it. From now onwards, Qin Wentian would control their fates. 9 monarchs, listen up. Qin Wentian stared at the 9 monarchs as he spoke. Yes, the 9 monarchs replied, staring at Qin Wentian. They didn't expect that the moment Qin Wentian became the Livefire Palace lord, he already started giving out orders. During these few days, the Livefire Empyrean had a group of people plotting against the Livefire Palace, wanting to incite a rebellion. The 9 of you investigate this group of people and send them to the various mines under your control. Qin Wentian spoke. The trusted aides and family members of the former Livefire Empyrean all turned pale. They naturally understood that the group of people Qin Wentian was referring to was none other than them. Now that Qin Wentian had become the Livefire Empyrean, how could he not kill them all? In addition, they all knew how Beauty Xiao died. Yes, the 9 monarchs directly led their troops into action. Those people wanted to rebel, wanting to flee, but under the heavy encirclement, they were like ants trying to shake a tree. Many of them were crippled, and not long after, some died, some were injured. Qin Wentian, who was in the air, calmly watched everything. He didn't feel any pity at all. His heart was like stone. Humans would eventually have to pay the price for their actions. A massive reorganization was carried out in the Livefire Palace, and the news of Qin Wentian becoming the Livefire Empyrean circulated to every corner of Livefire City. Today in Livefire City there was only a single topic of discussion. Qin Wentian had become the Livefire Palace lord. 3 days later, the sunlight cascaded down on the majestic Livefire Palace. Numerous ancient palaces stood there quietly, exuding a sense of holiness. The interior of the Livefire Palace was very quiet, but outside the Livefire Palace, it was bustling with activity. Countless people surrounded the area, forming a long line of human heads. Today was the grand ascension ceremony of the new Livefire Palace lord, Qin Wentian. Countless people from Livefire City came here to spectate, including the various peak powers of Livefire City. At the entrance of the Livefire Palace, there were countless people ascending the flight of stairs. No one dared to fly in the air. All of them were respectfully walking up. They were all people from the major powers who came here to offer their congratulations. The 9 monarchs, the governors, the Xinyuan clan, and many other major powers of Lifelong City have all arrived. The peak powers of the Livefire Palace have all arrived as well. There was naturally no need to mention the major powers of Livefire City. In fact, even the Jialan clan has arrived. Jialan Jiangshan led Jialan Yuntian, Jialan Shoyue, and the others here personally. They walked up the flight of stairs and inclined their heads, staring at the countless people who came here to pay their respects. At this moment, the hearts of everyone from the Jialan clan were filled with boundless emotions. The young man who was once a nobody and was humiliated by the Jialan monarch was now the Livefire Empyrean, enjoying the blessings of the people from all over the world. The young man Qin Wentian was now the new Livefire Palace lord. Chapter 1668. The stairway leading up to the Livefire Palace was tens of thousands of meters tall, majestic and boundless. Countless people who came to offer their congratulations were respectfully and piously climbing up. Below, the vast crowd stared at the sky. The glorious ancient palace was bathed in the sunlight, as if it was draped in a divine glow. Today was the day that the new palace lord, Qin Wentian, ascended the throne. The troops from the various governor manors have all arrived. They stood guard in all directions, each of them exuding a solemn and imposing aura. Exuding an extraordinary aura. This was especially so for the people from the northern governor's manor. All of them had their heads held high, as though they felt honored. The new palace lord, Qin Wentian, was once their governor and came from their governor's manor. Back then, Who would have thought that the young man who was transferred to the northern governor's manor would have such achievements today? Right now, the evil emperor has already been appointed as the governor of the northern governor's manor. He stood at the forefront of this army, and many of the vice-governors and attendants behind him had changed their faces. Back then, the people who betrayed Qin Wentian because of a single sentence from the Liefire Empyrean were all replaced by him. Although they were forced to back then, betrayal was still betrayal. Even if they stood on the side of the Liefire Empyrean back then, this indicated that they weren't loyal enough. Since they weren't loyal enough, they naturally wouldn't be used again. As for the other governors, other than Lin Ba and Sun Qian, everyone else was changed. The current Liefire Palace had a completely new appearance. But regardless of the new faces or the old faces, all of them were incomparably solemn. They all understood that the era has changed. The new palace lord was much stronger compared to the previous palace lord. His rise in Liefire City could be said to be a legend. They ascended the flight of stairs one after another, heading deeper into the depths of the Liefire Palace until they saw the highest point of the Liefire Palace, the Liefire Great Hall. This was an open-air grand ancient palace. Every single stone pillar seemed to reach into the heavens, majestic and majestic. There were dragons and phoenixes carved on it, and the floor that was made from emperor stones shone with a gorgeous luster. At the front of the Liefire Great Hall, there was a throne on top of a flight of stairs. Below the throne, there was a flight of stairs that could accommodate several people. At this moment, there was a figure dressed in white sitting on the throne. His simple white robe did not give off any sense of majesty, and his handsome face did not look imposing either. However, when that extraordinarily handsome young man sat there, the crowd could only think of the word peerless to describe him. The new Liefire Empyrean Qin Wentian was already seated on the throne. Beside him, the masked Ditian stood there, surveying the people around him. These people were the protectors of the Liefire Palace, the 9 monarchs, the governors and other peak characters. Longevity City's Xianyuan clan congratulates Palace Lord Qin. Someone walked up the stairs and shouted, Jialan Jiangshan of the Jialan clan leads the members of the Jialan clan here to congratulate Palace Lord on your ascension to the throne. Jialan Jiangshan spoke in a loud voice. Mo Ting of Liefire City's Mo clan congratulates Palace Lord Qin. The voices rang out unceasingly, shaking the entire Liefire Palace. The people of the various governor manors all knelt on one knee, bowing in the direction of the Liefire Great Hall. Central Governor Sun Qian leads the soldiers of the Central Governor's manor to pay our respects to Palace Lord. Sun Qian called out in a loud voice. He clasped his fists and bowed. The ordinary soldiers all knelt on one knee to show their respect. Eastern Governor Lin Ba leads the soldiers of the Eastern Governor's manor to pay our respects to Palace Lord. Countless people bowed, their voices shaking the sky. Outside the Liefire Palace, countless people inclined their heads and stared at the majestic scene in the air. They only felt waves of emotions surging in their hearts. A brand new era of the Liefire Palace was about to begin. Qin Wentian sat on the throne, staring at this scene as he sighed ruefully in his heart. Everyone in the world pursued the path of the strong, pursuing supreme strength. Because with strength one would have everything. Such towering authority, being worshipped by tens of thousands of people. How shocking was this? Even though he wasn't infatuated with authority, he was still deeply shaken by this. This time Qin will still have to rely on everyone for the position of the Liefire Palace Lord. Everyone, there's no need to be so polite. Qin Wentian waved his hand. After that, everyone either inclined their heads or stood up, turning their gazes in the direction of the Liefire Great Hall. Envoys from the Lifelong Saint Hall are here on the orders of the Realm Lord to congratulate Palace Lord. At this moment, another voice rang out. Qin Wentian wasn't surprised. 3 days ago, that envoy already said that he would come here and would give him a pleasant surprise. At this moment from afar, a group of people could be seen walking over. They were carrying a palanquin as they arrived at the entrance of the Liefire Great Hall. Qin Wentian stared at the palanquin, feeling a little puzzled. After that, the curtains parted as a beautiful and sexy figure slowly walked out. She inclined her head, her beautiful eyes staring at Qin Wentian. With a smile, it was as though she could topple the hearts of the world. Qin Wentian stood up from his throne. Staring at that beautiful silhouette, A radiant smile appeared on his face. Everyone was admiring the beauty of that maiden. She was clad in a fiery red long dress, exuding an incomparable charm. Her long dress reached the ground, further accentuating her sexy figure. She had a phoenix coronet on her head, exuding an incomparably noble aura, exuding a sense of sexiness, stunning the entire world. Many people already guessed her identity. Qin Wentian's legend was no longer a secret. It was widely spread around. He entered the Lifefire city and assumed the position of the northern governor. It was all for the sake of a single person, the bandit leader back then, Yi Qinyu. At this moment, a supreme beauty appeared before the new Lifefire Palace Lord Qin Wentian. Other than Yi Qinyu, there was no one else who could make the new Lifefire Palace Lord personally stand up. Palace Lord Qin, this time around, you have contributed greatly by calming down the chaos in Lifefire City. The Realm Lord will pardon Yi Qinyu's crimes, and hope that you can govern the Lifefire Palace well in the future. You won't let down the Realm Lord's expectations. That envoy smiled. Qin Wentian had become the hero who calmed down the chaos. Naturally, this was merely a sentence from the Realm Lord. He was the master of the lifelong realm. Whatever he said would be the law. I, Qin, will definitely not let down the Realm Lord's expectations. Qin Wentian smiled and nodded. I will bid my farewell then. That envoy nodded and directly departed, bringing the palanquin with him, leaving only Yi Qinyu behind. Qin Wentian walked down the stairs and came to the side of Yi Qinyu. His gaze was gentle as he stared at the supreme beauty before him. It has been tough on you during these years. Yi Qinyu smiled. She naturally could see the glorious scene before her. She could see the glory that belonged to Qin Wentian. She felt joy and pride from the bottom of her heart. Right now, he was no longer the young immortal king from back then. He was an expert who stood at the peak of Lifefire City. If you feel that it has been tough on me, why don't you marry me and make me the empress? Yi Qinyu didn't say anything. She transmitted her voice to Qin Wentian instead. That beautiful face of hers had a hint of devilish charm in it, instantly destroying the atmosphere. Qin Wentian's face was filled with black lines. This demoness, after so many years, she still hasn't changed at all. Staring at her, Qin Wentian's smile grew increasingly radiant. Humph, as expected, men only know how to talk nice. Yi Qinyu continued to transmit her voice. After that, she turned and stared at the countless figures before her. The charming smile on her face vanished, replaced by a dignified and noble look. She then spoke in a clear voice, "Today, Palace Lord Qin is ascending to the throne. There will be a banquet in Lifefire City for 3 days with delicacies and fine wine. Everyone can eat and drink to their heart's content. Palace Lord Qin will bear all the costs." The Yi Qinyu at this moment exuded the aura of a motherly model of the world. Countless people stared at her beautiful silhouette as they silently mused in their hearts. Most probably, this Yi Qinyu would become the mistress of the Lifefire Palace from now onwards. "Thank you, Palace Lord." Everyone congratulated in unison. Everyone had smiles on their faces, their gazes filled with respect when they looked at Yi Qinyu, not daring to profane her. This was the woman of the new Palace Lord. They could only admire her. Among the crowd, Jalanchua stared at that beautiful silhouette. She was confident that her beauty was unrivaled, and there were few in Lifefire City who could compare to her. However, the Yi Qinyu now was even more outstanding compared to her. The light of the entire Lifefire Palace seemed to be gathered on her. The radiance of Qin Wentian also belonged to her. The Jalanchua right now, how would she feel? Could it be that the clouds parted and the moon shone brightly? It was just that it was a pity for Beauty Xiao. Jalanchua's beautiful eyes involuntarily turned to Di Tian. He was still as mysterious and quiet as before, like even if the sky collapsed, his expression wouldn't change. He was always so confident, even if he didn't assume the position of the Lifefire Empyrean. He didn't seem to have any objections. However, did he really not have any objections? After setting up such a heaven-shaking scheme, the position of the Lifefire Empyrean eventually landed in Qin Wentian's hands. The lifelong Realm Lord definitely had a deeper meaning for him to be a Vice Palace Lord. Yi Qinyu's beautiful eyes turned over as she smiled at Qin Wentian. Her smile was like her scheme had succeeded. Her words earlier were like an announcement. She, Yi Qinyu, was now the female lord of this Lifefire Palace. Staring at the smile on her face, Qin Wentian bitterly smiled. Before this, he had always been worried about this demoness. But now that she has returned, he most probably wouldn't be able to rest easy. Back then he was tormented by this demoness to the point where he wished he was dead. Stepping out, Qin Wentian grabbed Yi Qianyu's hand. Yi Qianyu's body trembled slightly, but she didn't reject. Her smile was so beautiful that it could topple the hearts of all living things. Qin Wentian held her hand and walked forward step by step. The young man was clad in white while the young woman wore a phoenix coronet and a red dress. They were like an immortal couple. The two of them walked to the top of the stairway and stared at the countless people below. Countless gazes of respect were directed at them. Qin Wentian tightened his grip on Yi Qianyu's hand as his gaze flickered with gentleness. There are some things I can't give you. However, if you want this empire, if I can conquer it, everything will be yours. Qin Wentian transmitted his voice. Yi Qianyu naturally understood his words. Her beautiful eyes were filled with a smile as tears actually flowed down her face. All the grievances she suffered through these years no longer mattered. Being able to see him today, being able to make such a promise to him, everything was worth it. I really wish to meet the person you can give everything to. Yi Qianyu's wet eyes were still filled with a smile. She felt somewhat jealous. She had never thought that she would be jealous of others. But right now she was truly jealous. Qin Wentian said that he could give her everything, but he couldn't give a woman the most precious position in his heart. She really wanted to see for herself the unshakable position in Qin Wentian's heart. Who was the person sitting there exactly? Chapter 1669. After Qin Wentian Ascension Ceremony, the Livefire Palace hosted a grand banquet. The atmosphere in the ancient and majestic palace was extremely lively. The experts from the peak powers of Livefire City have all arrived. In addition, these were all important characters. No matter what attitude they had towards Qin Wentian in the past, after Qin Wentian ascended to the Livefire Empyrean's throne, everything they had was now nothing more than dust. Right now, they could only have a single attitude: respect. What sort of power was the Jialan clan? They were a peak power even in Lifelong City. Jialan Jiangshan of the Jialan clan had even fought for the position of the Livefire Palace Lord but failed. But even though Jialan Jiangshan was made use of by Di Tian, he still came here personally. From this, one could very well imagine what the other powers would do. Don't forget, Qin Wentian was still the prime suspect for the death of the Jialan monarch. But so what if Qin Wentian was the one who killed the Jialan monarch? Right now, that article could already be flipped. No one would pursue this matter anymore. Livefire City was also incomparably lively. The vast majority of people were only discussing a single topic: the legendary character of Livefire City, Qin Wentian. They would occasionally glance in the direction of the Livefire Palace or personally head to the foot of the Livefire Palace, staring up at the majestic ancient hall. No one dared to cause trouble in Livefire City. The Livefire Empyrean has just ascended to the throne. If they cause trouble now, it would undoubtedly be an act of challenging his prestige. This was definitely an act of courting death. Don't forget, this was a character who could topple the previous Livefire Empyrean. He was even more terrifying compared to the previous Livefire Empyrean, a living legend. Seats could be seen everywhere in the Livefire Palace. Qin Wentian and Yi Qianyu had already vanished. They held hands, and after surveying the entire Livefire City, they left, leaving everything to Di Tian to manage. Everyone naturally wouldn't know that Di Tian was none other than a clone of Qin Wentian. There was no difference no matter who stayed here. Many people came over to toast to Di Tian. Although the person who eventually sat on the throne was Qin Wentian, no one in Livefire City dared to underestimate how terrifying Di Tian was. Don't forget that he was the one who orchestrated that plot. It could be said that Di Tian was the one who single-handedly brought down the previous Livefire Empyrean. The Jialan clan was made use of by him. The strength of the Emperor Pavilion in Livefire City had already surpassed the Jialan clan. Also, Grandmaster Di, who had become a Vice Palace Lord, would definitely allow the Emperor Pavilion to grow even stronger in the future. Di Tian would at least become a Palace Lord in the future. Just based on his strength, talent and intelligence, Di Tian would be able to become a Palace Lord. She placed the weapon on her neck and directly sliced open her skin, causing fresh blood to flow. What are you doing? Ditian roared. Although my clan didn't punish me, I'm already a sinner of my clan. Now that I've been deceived by you for so many years, my heart is already like dead ashes. If I can't get an answer, I'd rather die. Jelan Chuyue was incomparably stubborn. The sharp weapon pierced through her skin, causing her blood to drip onto her blue dress, dyeing it red. Ditian's gaze froze. He didn't expect Jelan Chuyue to be so stubborn. If I die, your secret will remain a secret. Can you let me die knowing why? Jelan Chuyue spoke. Ditian waved his hand as a powerful sealing energy gushed forth, sealing this space. He sighed and spoke to Jelan Chuyue. Do you know why Qin Wentian hates the Jelan monarch so much? There's a huge grudge between the Jelan monarch and Qin Wentian. I know everything from start to finish. He has a reason to hate my uncle in the Jelan clan. But does this have anything to do with you? Jelan Chuyue asked. Ditian placed his hand on his mask and slowly removed it. A handsome face appeared in Jelan Chuyue's vision. At this moment, Jelan Chuyue's heart pounded violently. The divine weapon in her hand loosened as it fell to the ground, emitting a crisp sound. Her body trembled uncontrollably. There were no words that could describe her current state of heart. Are you satisfied now? A different voice rang out from Ditian's mouth. He sighed in his heart. Ultimately, it was still too easy for him to be soft-hearted. He couldn't be as cold and emotionless as before. Night in the lifelong Saint Hall, in the courtyard of Princess Kitamura. She stood there and stared at the starry space. She took out her messaging crystal and placed it down. He should have already sat on the throne of the lifelong Saint Hall. Right now, he should be the center of attention. He must be very busy. Princess Kitamura smiled. After that, she kept her messaging crystal and didn't congratulate Ditian. A figure appeared behind Princess Kitamura. Princess Kitamura turned and stared at the person who came. Realm Lord Yu Huang. Qin Wentian has already ascended to the Realm Lord's throne. Right now, the Lifefire Palace is extremely lively. I've sent Yi Qinyu back as well. I hope he won't blame me. The lifelong Realm Lord smiled. He had always felt that Princess Kitamura and Qin Wentian had a relationship of apprentice sister and brother. He believed that if he bestowed the position of the Lifefire Palace Lord and released Yi Qinyu, Qin Wentian would surely be filled with gratitude, right? Naturally, I'll thank Realm Lord on behalf of junior apprentice brother Qin. Princess Kitamura smiled. The lifelong Realm Lord waved his hand. You are my woman, there's no need to be so polite. Let's not waste the beautiful scenery tonight. Yu Huang, come with me to my palace. Realm Lord, the title hasn't been confirmed yet. It's inappropriate. Princess Kitamura spoke in a light voice. You are right, I was too anxious. After living for so many years, I still can't resist the temptation of beauties. The lifelong Realm Lord shook his head. Since this is the case, during the next grand banquet, I will announce it to the world and bestow you with a title. Yu Huang, where are you? The moonlight hung high up in the sky as astral light shone upon the luxurious residence at the peak of the Lifefire Palace. The scenery inside and outside of the residence was incomparably beautiful. Let me perform a dance for you. Yi Qinyu gently spoke. The other side fell silent for a moment before a voice replied. My will. Yu Huang, you have to take care of yourself too. If anything happens, remember to tell me. Qin Wentian calmly nodded. Right now, since I'm the Lifefire Palace Lord, I naturally have to govern the vast territories of the Lifefire Palace well. The 9 monarchs should do their best to assist me. Yes, Palace Lord. We will definitely do our best. The 9 monarchs all bowed to express their loyalty. A rock in their hearts also fell. Seems like Qin Wentian didn't intend to touch their positions. They were truly worried that Qin Wentian would replace them with his trusted aides. Really? A doubtful voice rang out in his mind. Yu Huang said that she isn't in the lifelong Saint Hall. She went out to temper herself. Qin Wentian stared at Yi Qinyu as he spoke. When he saw that beautiful figure, he couldn't help but to glance at her. The Yi Qinyu at this moment was simply too beautiful. Is that so? Yi Qinyu coiled her hair up, straightening her robes. The charming smile on her face vanished, replaced by a faint smile of imposingness. She was like an incomparably noble queen, exuding boundless might. Yi Qianyu's lips twitched before she smiled again. Her gaze grew more and more mesmerizing. Qin Wentian stared at her beautiful countenance that was just inches away from him. His gaze shifted downwards, to her neck that was as white as a swan, and further down to her curvaceous figure that would cause one's blood to surge, causing one to feel a strong urge to steal a peek at her. Yes, Palace Lord. The evil emperor and Su Li bowed. The others fell silent. Right now, who would still dare to doubt Qin Wentian's decision? It was only natural for him to nurture his own trusted aides. Princess Kitamura's cold eyes flashed with a gentle smile. She didn't reply and kept her messaging crystal instead. She stared at the starry space. There were still tens of years before the next grand banquet of the lifelong realm would be held. The lifelong realm lord would announce this to the world. If Qin Wentian learned of this, what would he think of her? How about this? Yi Qianyu's beautiful eyes stared at Qin Wentian. There was no longer any charm, only imposingness. Qin Wentian was dumbfounded. This woman was truly fickle. Her demeanor instantly changed. Upon seeing Qin Wentian's appearance, Yi Qianyu giggled and became charming again. Don't forget that I was the palace lord of the Thousand Feathers Palace in the past. Now that I've become your woman, I naturally can only be charming in front of you. In front of outsiders, even if I can't be the main palace mistress, I should at least bring out the aura of a main palace mistress. If not, I might be bullied to death by your main palace mistress in the future. After she stood up, Qin Wentian's gaze was filled with a strange light when he stared at her. The Yi Qianyu today seemed to be different from before. She was less sexy and more dignified and noble. He was extremely clear about the personalities of Qing'er and Qingcheng. Bullying Yi Qianyu? Seems like he had to teach this demoness a lesson in the future. He mustn't allow her to bully Qing'er and Qingcheng. What's the matter? A gentle voice drifted over from behind. The moonlight shone down on Yi Qianyu's figure. She was clad in a fiery red phoenix dress, exuding a sense of holiness and nobility. Her snow-white skin glowed with radiance, resembling a goddess under the moon, causing the hearts of those who saw her to palpitate. This was especially so when she was so beautiful and sexy. Her phoenix dress fluttered in the wind and her eyes were filled with emotions. Qin Wentian had no way to describe the beauty of this moment. He sat at the edge of the bed and quietly admired the view. He felt that even the most beautiful scenery in the world couldn't be compared to this. Staring at the fiery gaze in Qin Wentian's eyes, Yi Qianyu's smile grew even more charming. Qin Wentian stretched out his hands, wanting to hug her. However, Yi Qianyu's body slid away the moment his hands touched her waist. She giggled, "You don't want to hold a wedding for me, but you want to secretly eat me? Even if you can't become the main palace mistress, you can't be so biased, right?" Qin Wentian nodded. Yi Qianyu's back was facing the window. The moonlight cascaded down on her perfect figure, and after that, she started moving graceful and graceful. Her entire body seemed soft and gentle, as though there were no bones in her body. Her movements were light and graceful, causing people to fall into a trance, unable to extricate themselves. Qin Wentian nodded. Also, in the battle that day, many sinners died. There are many positions in the Lifefire Palace that need to be adjusted. Right now, I'll officially appoint the evil emperor as a protector of the Lifefire Palace. Su Li will take over the position of the northern governor. It's time to wake up. Qin Wentian spoke in a light voice. Qin Wentian had an evil smile on his face. After that, he directly lifted the blanket, causing a scream of shock to ring out. Qin Wentian smiled and stood up to change his clothes. Yi Qianyu hugged the blanket and changed into a fresh set of clothes as she stood up to wash up. Qin Wentian had a face filled with black lines. He had nothing to say. A soul-stirring voice rang out from her red lips, sounding like the sounds of the heavens. When Qin Wentian and Yi Qianyu walked over, everyone turned solemn, no longer chatting casually. They stared at the imposing Qin Wentian and the elegant Yi Qianyu, silently musing that the two of them were truly a perfect match. A vixen will always be a vixen. You can't change that. Qin Wentian smiled at her. Princess Kitamura replied in a light voice. Right now, my cultivation base is already at the peak stage of the immortal emperor realm. You don't have to worry about me. Congratulations to you and Yi Qianyu for experiencing so many things and finally being together. She suffered many grievances because of you. You have to treat her well. Qin Wentian's eyes brightened. Back then, Yi Qianyu's dance could topple an entire city, stunning the world. Even now he couldn't forget it. Now he finally had the chance to enjoy such a world-shaking dance. After that, there was another round of adjustments. The bandits who followed Yi Qianyu back then all had important positions. When they stared at Qin Wentian and Yi Qianyu, their gazes were filled with deep respect, silently musing that Emperor Yi Qianyu's judgment was truly good. Back then she had done so much for Qin Wentian, but now when they saw the two of them seated on the throne, they felt that they were simply too perfect. This was destined to be a crazy night, a sleepless night. Qin Wentian had always exuded magnificence through the generations. Yi Qianyu was incomparably seductive back then, but now, she was elegant and dignified, exuding the might of a motherly model of the world. There were already people who set up another throne beside the Emperor's throne. This was naturally prepared for Yi Qianyu. What are you looking at? Yi Qianyu smiled charmingly at Qin Wentian. A sizzling sound rang out. Her fiery red dress tore apart inch by inch, transforming into flower petals that danced in the air, revolving around the goddess, enveloping the two of them. A flawless body appeared before Qin Wentian's eyes just like that. His eyes turned red as his heart pounded wildly. He could no longer control his emotions. His hands trembled as he stretched out his devil palms, wanting to ravage her. Let's go. The 9 monarchs are still here. The various governors and protectors are still waiting for you. If you don't say anything, I'm afraid they wouldn't be able to leave with peace of mind. Yi Qianyu smiled. Qin Wentian nodded. The two of them walked out of this residence at the peak of the Livefire Palace, a place where no one would dare to disturb. This place was the Palace Lord's sleeping quarters and was protected by formations. During these few days, did all of you enjoy yourselves? Qin Wentian smiled at everyone. I was cultivating outside and heard the news of you becoming the Livefire Emperor. Princess Kitamura lied. Many thanks, Palace Lord. Mo Fei and Mo Junyi expressed their thanks. They glanced at Ditian. Seems like the relationship between the Palace Lord and Vice Palace Lord Ditian was unexpectedly good. At this moment, Qin Wentian stood before the window and stared into the distance. He slowly put down his messaging crystal as the voice in his mind stopped ringing out. He didn't know why, but he felt a little down in his heart. He couldn't explain it clearly, but he should have been happy instead. Qin Wentian had already fallen into a trance, unable to extricate himself. He sat there unmoving as he stared at that beautiful figure walking over with a smile on her face. In the Livefire Great Hall, after the banquet ended, many experts gathered here. He was here before, but he has already left. Princess Kitamura spoke in a light voice. No. Yi Qianyu flipped her body, her back facing Qin Wentian. Chapter 1671. Qin Wentian continued giving out orders, reorganizing the Livefire Palace. The people below quietly listened. The entire Great Hall was silent. No one dared to say anything. Is the Jialong clan present? At this moment, Qin Wentian suddenly called out, his words causing Jialong Yuntian's eyes to flash. Jialong Jiangshan had already left. That day when he came to congratulate Qin Wentian on his appointment as the Livefire Palace Lord, he left immediately after that. After all, Jialong Jiangshan himself was an Emperor. It was naturally impossible for him to stay here and enjoy the banquet like the others. Present. Jialong Yuntian walked up. Are the people of the Jialong clan willing to take up a position in the Livefire Palace? Qin Wentian suddenly asked, his words causing many people in the Great Hall to be puzzled. Everyone knew about the relationship between Qin Wentian and the Jialong clan. Right now, Qin Wentian wanted the people of the Jialong clan to take up a position in the Livefire Palace? What did he mean by that? Did he want to reconcile? Jialong Yuntian's eyes flashed. He thought of Jialong Chuyue's words, as well as Jialong Jiangshan's instructions. He stared at the white-robed figure seated on the throne in the Great Hall and nodded. If Palace Lord has any orders, the Jialong clan will definitely do our best. Qin Wentian nodded. The Jialong clan has extraordinary strength in Livefire City. and you have also contributed greatly in quelling the chaos this time around. The various governor manors are all lacking vice governors and attendants. In the future, your Jiaolong clan should contact the people of the various governor manors, and if there are any suitable positions, just let the members of the Jiaolong clan take up the positions. Don't limit it to just the northern city regions. As the sound of his voice faded, the eyes of everyone gleamed. Qin Wentian actually allowed the people of the Jiaolong clan to take up important positions in the various governor manors. In this case, the Jiaolong clan has already completely infiltrated Lifire City. In addition, among the 9 monarchs, there were also monarchs who had a good relationship with the Jiaolong clan. To the new Lifire Palace Lord, this wasn't a good thing. Jiaolong Yuntian naturally understood this logic. He cast a deep glance at Qin Wentian as he sighed in his heart. This man was a heaven-defying genius. He basically didn't care about the infiltration of the Jiaolong clan. When one's martial prowess reached a certain level, no matter how shocking their schemes were, they would all be destroyed with a single sword strike. At the end of the day, this was still the world of martial arts. In the face of absolute power of martial arts, conspiracies and tricks were all small things. Therefore, the world favored martial arts. For Qin Wentian to be able to sit on the throne, it naturally wasn't just because of that plot. It was also because of the strength they used to defeat the previous Lifire Empyrean. If not, they would have already died back then. Yes. Jiaolong Yuntian nodded, his heart filled with emotions. Qin Wentian basically didn't care about his Jiaolong clan at all. How arrogant and confident was this? Soaring to the mid-stage of the immortal emperor realm within tens of years, surpassing his father Jiaolong Jiangshan. In the future, the gap between them would only grow wider and wider. Qin Wentian definitely had the qualifications to be proud. Governors, please cooperate with the Jiaolong clan. Qin Wentian glanced at the governors as he spoke. The governors all nodded in acknowledgement. The reorganization of the Lifire Palace was finally completed. Qin Wentian glanced at Jiaolong Jiangshan. Right now, this could be considered as making up to the Jiaolong clan. Other than feeling a trace of guilt towards Jiaolong Chuyue, the relationship between him and the Jiaolong clan could be considered to be even. His achievements today were also inseparable from the Jiaolong clan. Most probably Jiaolong Mingyue would never have imagined that her stubbornness back then would actually create a new Lifire Empyrean. Alright, everyone can return to your respective positions. From now onwards, the Lifire Palace will be handed over to everyone. Qin Wentian waved his hand, exuding incomparable imposingness. Everyone bowed and departed from the Lifire Great Hall. After that, they turned and walked down the flight of stairs, only daring to soar into the air after they left the Lifire Palace. The new Lifire Empyrean had just been appointed. No matter who it was, no one dared to show any disrespect. Nobody knew what Qin Wentian's temper was like. After the crowd left, Qin Wentian and Ditian exchanged mutual glances. After that, Ditian's silhouette flashed as he soared into the air. Right now, Qin Wentian was in charge of the Lifire Palace. However, Ditian's Emperor Pavilion still needed to be developed. This was a power that could permeate the entire lifelong realm. Palace Lord. The evil Emperor and Su Li both had smiles on their faces after the crowd left. They stared at the 2 people on the thrones. Who are you guys referring to as Palace Lord? Yi Qinyu giggled. The eyes of the evil Emperor, Su Li and the others flashed as they laughed. That's right, back then they referred to Yi Qinyu as Palace Lord. Now Qin Wentian was the Lifire Palace Lord. In that case, who should they refer to as Palace Lord? In the future there will only be a single Palace Lord. You guys can refer to me as Madam. Yi Qinyu spoke. The evil Emperor, Su Li and the others also discovered Yi Qinyu's change. All of them smiled and called out, Madam. You guys can leave as well. Don't disturb the world of the 2 of us. Little Lion, you will be the gatekeeper for me in the future. Yi Qinyu smiled. The evil Emperor had a dumbfounded look on his face. He lowered his head and turned around. With a low roar, he transformed into a ferocious Lion King. Su Li and the others laughed when they saw the dejected look on the evil Emperor's face. They then followed him out. In the Lifire Great Hall, only Qin Wentian and Yi Qinyu remained. The dignified expression on Yi Qinyu's face vanished, replaced by a charming look. She smiled at Qin Wentian. How does it feel to sit on the throne and give orders? Qin Wentian couldn't help but smile when he saw Yi Qianyu's charming smile. No matter how good the feeling is, it still can't compare to the beautiful scenery last night. Yi Qianyu's beautiful eyes flashed before she started giggling. Her voice was as gentle as water. In that case, this slave will serve husband well tonight. Staring at her charming eyes, as well as the dignified and noble silhouette of the queen, Qin Wentian felt an impulse to hug her. He cursed in a low voice, "Vixen. In that case, does husband like it?" Yi Qianyu gracefully shifted, sitting on Qin Wentian's body as she hooked her arms around his neck. "What do you think?" Qin Wentian carried Yi Qianyu in his arms. His silhouette flashed as he directly soared through the air, returning to the sleeping quarters at the peak of the Lifire Palace. Very soon, Yi Qianyu's soul-stirring cries could be heard. The scenery was boundlessly good. Several months later, the Lifire Palace gradually calmed down. The commotion of the past finally subsided, and the topic of discussion in Lifire City would only occasionally be mentioned. It was just that the legend of the new palace lord, Qin Wentian, and his wife Yi Qianyu became a story that many people loved to talk about. Also, there were many different versions of this story. However, no matter which version it was, the ending was perfect. They were like a celestial couple, causing everyone to feel envy in their hearts. Once, the scene of the new palace lord, Qin Wentian, holding Yi Qianyu's hand as they stood at the peak of the stairway outside the Lifire Great Hall was something that could never be forgotten. That day, the two of them held hands as they stared down at the wind and clouds of the world. That day, tears of happiness flowed down Yi Qianyu's face. With regards to the legend of the Lifire Palace, Qin Wentian and Yi Qianyu didn't hear it. However, their lives during these few days were truly wonderful. This was especially so for Qin Wentian. He was tormented to the point where he wished he was dead. Yi Qianyu had always been a vixen that could charm people to death. The two of them were alone at the peak of the Lifire Palace and were truly happy. During the evening at the peak of the Lifire Palace, Qin Wentian stood there and stared at the Lifire City in the distance. The setting sun dyed the sky red, illuminating this majestic city with a layer of fiery light. The scenery was incomparably beautiful. Yi Qianyu quietly walked to the side of Qin Wentian. He didn't know the consequences if he continued to wait. He didn't know if Qing'er and Qingqing would be in danger or not. "I'll accompany you to Azure Mystic." Yi Qianyu stared at Qin Wentian, clearly already knowing what he wanted to do. No. Qin Wentian decisively rejected. Right now he had no idea how to return. He might have to traverse the starry space and encounter spatial turbulence. This was simply too dangerous. Even with his cultivation base, he might not be safe, let alone Yi Qianyu. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.